For Manchester City, Ederson in goal, Luis Diaz-Akanji and Vardy the back four, Bernardo and Kovacic in midfield, no Rodri today, Savinho, Kevin De Bruyne and Doku behind, Erling Haaland up front. We are underway then, the players took the near header kick-off, Manchester City in sky blue from left to right, Chelsea in their darker royal blue from right to left. Who knows what the next 38 games will have in store, but the Premier League is never short of drama, and we'll have it covered for you every step of the way on BBC Radio Manchester. Still a fine mist across the Stamford Bridge Stadium following those flares and pyrotechnics that went off pre-game. Starting to clear, and we've got a great vantage point here at the top of the main stand, looking down on Rico Lewis, who takes a throw in, brings it infield. These two met in the pre-season friendly. Manchester City won 4-2 that day, an Erling Haaland hat-trick. No friendliness today, David James, the former City goalkeeper. Things get real from here.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It's just have a look at Rico Lewis getting to the byline. That's a goal kick. As I said, it build up to the show that the victories for the main protagonist for the title yesterday puts an extra bit of spin on this one, and as you say, with Chelsea, with the spending, not necessarily that's on the pitch right now, with the spending of bringing in new players, they'll be expecting to be in part of that conversation at the end of the season. Cole Palmer will be expected to be part of the conversation today after signing a new contract, I believe, which keeps him at Chelsea to 2033.
It does indeed. It's now a 9-year deal for Cole Palmer. It was initially 7, but they've granted him a 2-year extension. Just in case they were worried he wasn't going to see out the 7 years at Stamford Bridge, maybe. Ball floated over to him on that far side, Chelsea's right, but it just sails out of play, so Manchester City have a throw in, which they just throw midway inside their own half, play it across the defence. Ruben Diaz, Portugal international, was at Euro 2024, to Manuel Akanji, whose Switzerland side lost to England. Header from Marc Cucurella, who was reminded of me by my friend Rob last night. Sang a song after Spain won the Euros that said even Erling Haaland fears Marc Cucurella, and we'll see how that matchup goes a little bit later on.
Yeah, well, as long as Savinho or Savio, however we're going to pronounce it, I'm going to call him Savio from now on, so as long as he or Doku, because they can switch sides, don't fear him, then City will be in for a good day.
De Bruyne to the left. Here is Savinho to get the cross in. His cross clips up, comes off Gusto. He wears Savinho on the back of his shirt. He was known in Spain as Savio in Girona last year, but he wears Savinho on the back of his Manchester City shirt, and that is how we are told to reference him this season. And the same with Matheus Nunes. If you missed that last year, prefers to be called Matheus rather than Nunes. So we will go with what we're told, as Rico Lewis is bundled over by Christopher Nkunku, and Manchester City win a free kick, which they play back towards their own penalty area to our left-hand side. So if you're listening and want to continue listening to Manchester City at Chelsea on the opening day of the Premier League season, then do so on digital radio and BBC Sounds anywhere in the UK this afternoon. As for Bolton against Wrexham, that'll be on 95.1 FM with Phil Brown and Jack Dearden. So throw in here to Marc Cucurella, just on the halfway line near side for Chelsea. Now Erling Haaland. It's a poor back pass, Chelsea gifting it to Erling Haaland, who uses Jeremy Doku on this near side, the right, across his back post, looking for Erling Haaland, just bends too far away from him. But nobody was there for Chelsea, and had it curved back towards Erling Haaland, he certainly would have had a header at goal. 0-0, 4 minutes played.
Yeah, as I say, 4 minutes in. The one thing I've seen here with City is the press. Very aggressive up top. Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva involved there. I think this is going to be a theme for at least the start of the game and put Chelsea under a lot of pressure.
And these two met on the opening day in 2006. Chelsea were 3-0 winners, and they played a long ball down the left-hand side here for Christopher Nkunku to try and trick into the box. Rico Lewis reads it well in front of the Manchester City fans in the shed end, away to our left-hand side. Now Romeo Lavia, square pass central inside the Manchester City half. Cole Palmer, a couple of steadying touches for him, and then he brings it back to the left-hand side of him. And Chelsea calm things down. Levi Colwill, 21-year-old, inside the centre circle, out towards the far side right. 0-0 the score. Palmer back to Wesley Fofana. Torrid injury for him last year, but he's got over that now, had a full pre-season. And Chelsea play it out to the right-hand side here. Gusto closed down quickly by Josko Vardiol. And goal kick given, which is why the Chelsea fans are angry. They thought it had come off Vardiol last, was going to be a corner kick to them on the far side. Referee, who is this afternoon Anthony Taylor, had other ideas. Goal kick Manchester City.
It was a long ball over the top there, but I'm just looking at City's defensive shape. It looks like a 4-1-4-1 with Kovacic sitting in front of the back four across the midfield, and obviously Erling Haaland up top. So be interested to see how that develops during the game.
Mentioned that Chelsea win 3-0 back in 2006. John Terry, Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba with the goals that day. Bernardo Corradi was sent off for Manchester City. City here have got themselves another goal kick trying to play out from the back. Chelsea closed it down, it bounces over the line. So Edison, who was on Copa America duty in the summer with Brazil, elects not to take this goal kick. He's going to give it to Ruben Diaz.
I think he's going to get it back and launch it. I'm just looking at Erling Haaland's position and whether, there we go, Erling Haaland's going down the middle. Oh yeah, I was thinking maybe he's going to go down to Erling Haaland in the middle, flick onto Savinho or Doku on the right hand side here.
Chelsea win it back from Edison's long ball out from his penalty area. Here's Enzo Fernandez, one of the big money signings for Chelsea. £106 million for him back in January 2023. Did win the Copa America with Argentina this summer, alongside the former Manchester City man in Julian Alvarez, who's departed now. Here's Colwill just to Cucurella on this near left-hand side. Back it goes to Robert Sanchez, his first Premier League game since a 2-0 defeat to Everton back in December 2023. Petrovic was chosen to then replace him for the second half of the season. Philip Jorgensen is the Chelsea substitute goalkeeper this afternoon. Here is Kovacic spinning away midway inside his own half. Uses Ruben Diaz, and the game, after a little bit of a frantic start, 7 minutes in, it's just settled down into a bit more of a walking pace in the warm West London sunshine.
It has, yes, and I'm just looking at different players and seeing how they're going to influence the game. Kevin De Bruyne, usual floating self. If Kevin De Bruyne is anywhere near his 5-minute cameo from last weekend, and again this will be a positive for Manchester City, but good movement there by Savinho.
Drops into a pocket of space, then knocks it on through for Bernardo Silva in the penalty area, left-hand side, takes the shot, deflects off Colwill, who was matching him stride for stride behind for a corner on the far side.
Yeah, wonderful players. Just as I was talking there, Savinho drops into the hole on the far side, turns, puts in Bernardo Silva. It's a good block in the end, but again showing the vulnerability perhaps of this Chelsea defence, which they saw in pre-season. Space
for Bernardo Silva in the box initially. Bernardo, who got the goal to take the Community Shield to penalties last weekend. Corner far side, the left for Manchester City. De Bruyne floats it in towards the back post, as pushing and shoving. And I think Josko Vardiol and Erling Haaland the instigators in that, and that's given Chelsea a free kick inside their 6-yard box, 0-0.
Yeah, I talked to you before the game about the warm-ups, and Chelsea had done, or at least the goalkeepers had done a bit of a warm-up using physical contact. That time they were fouled, but I think Sanchez is prepared for it.
It's a free kick to Chelsea, 8.5 minutes played, 0-0. That's certainly the biggest opportunity for Manchester City so far in the game, with Bernardo in on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Palmer with a little flick infield. Here is Romeo Lavia, who had a season at Southampton before moving to Chelsea, but injury hit last year. Chelsea advancing down the right-hand side. Early cross comes in from Malo Gusto. That one does deflect cleanly, and it's behind for Chelsea's first corner of the game.
Yeah, 9 minutes in, and that's the second time Chelsea have put balls in behind Manchester City. Arguably Palmer being in an offside position meant that the cross had to go to the far side of the goal, and Diaz done superbly well.
Short corner, Palmer sends it into the penalty area. Wesley Fofana was able to get a right foot cushion volley almost on the penalty spot, but send it over the bar. Edison goal kick, 0-0.
Possibly should have done better there. He was under no pressure. Volley from 12 yards out from the corner. Should have, I don't want to say should have hit the target, but should have done better.
Central defender might be excused, but that's as kind as we're going to be to him, I think. Yeah, here's Akanji City sky blue shirts, white shorts and navy socks this season. In a shirt that pays homage to Manchester with 0161 written in the collar, the dial code. Here's Joško Gvardiol. Just stands to the left of the centre circle towards the halfway line, sprays it low along the ground to the right hand side. Doku will wait for the ball, collect it, nudges it forward with his right boot, tries to go down the line. He starts on the right, Savinho is out on the far left. Now Akanji again. Here is Lavia, nice little shuffle to get past Cucurella, then flicks it back 5 yards from the byline. Cucurella with a little shoulder barge that's clean and fair, nudges Doku off the ball, and Chelsea now try and set themselves forward. Sprayed ball to the far side, Palmer with the header, Savinho wins it back off him. Back down the line for Gvardiol, but this is all midway inside Chelsea's half. Oh, there's space opening up on the edge of D for Lewis. Now Doku on the right. Doku with a wild left-footed shot that flies well wide of the left-hand post. City are finding space in dangerous areas. They just need to punish Chelsea for it.
Yeah, well, it's an encouraging start though. Some nice play. The ball from Gvardiol, low across the ground. And Doku's shot. I think he's got to try and bend it in the far left side, but. I think the corner flag was more in danger than the actual posts themselves, but again, encouraging sign from Manchester City.
Earlier today, Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1 in the Premier League. In the Championship, Sunderland hammered Sheffield Wednesday 4-0. Notts County and Fleetwood drew 2-2. In League One, don't forget 95.1 FM's where you get the conclusion of the Bolton-Wrexham game in League One, 0-0. In that game as Phil Parkinson returns to the Tush Sheet Community Stadium. Chelsea down the near side left with Enzo Fernandez, 30 yards from goal. Palmer peels away on the right corner of the box. The ball is floated across to him. Palmer just shuffles it back, lays it into the feet of Moises Caicedo. Here's Lavia, the braided hair, just turns to the low afro hair of Marc Cucurella. Plenty of curls on display from him with that thick brown mop that he demonstrates. Fofana, Palmer, 20 yards inside the Manchester City half. A little delicate chip forward, plays the 1-2, makes it work as well, and Palmer's towards the edge of the D, but Kovacic, the ex-Chelsea man, wrestles the current Chelsea man off the ball, and Manchester City now start to go forward. De Bruyne, almost a no-look flung pass out towards this near side. Doku and Cucurella will battle for it again. Doku forced down the touchline. He does well. Both sets of supporters happy with the work of their players there. City in possession with Akanji inside his own half.
Yeah, both teams demonstrating here using the full width of the pitch. A great ball from Kevin De Bruyne out to Doku. Chelsea doing the same with Cole Palmer on the far side.
Now Doku towards the penalty area of Chelsea. Rico Lewis just creeps inside the box, lays it back out wide for Doku on this near side. Pokes it on through, tries the give and go. Cucurella goes down. Doku fouling his man. That's going to be a battle to watch this afternoon for certain. And Chelsea have a free kick inside their penalty area. We've played 13 minutes on Total Sport 0-0.
Cucurella, I tell you what, last season perhaps, beginning of last season, definitely the season before, he was possibly one of Chelsea's weak links, but he looks like a man in form at the moment, and Doku's got his hands full. But I'd be interested to see again, because Doku and Silvino can switch sides, whether at some point Pep tries to switch them over and see if Silvino can get better outcome.
Guardiola sat down in his dugout for now. Enzo Maresca, arms folded in his tracksuit on the touchline. He is the sixth person to take charge of Chelsea since Todd Bowley took over in May 2022. Tuchel, Potter, Bruno Solskjaer for one game as caretaker manager, Lampard and Pochettino. Here come Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson with the step-overs, and he runs into and across Ruben Diaz, who's then hauled to the floor. Now Jackson had Chelsea player to his left-hand side that might have been in a better position to go from, Christopher Nkunku, and Jackson maybe saw the headlines to get the opening goal in this fixture and ran into Ruben Diaz.
I think you're underplaying what Ruben Diaz did there. I mean, he recovered so well without fouling Jackson because he was in the box. He's cut across him, taking possession of the ball, and that's fantastic defending. Add that to the block from the cross earlier as well. Ruben Diaz had a good start to this season's campaign.
Still remains 0-0 here. Ruben Diaz was expected to hit 200 appearances for Manchester City this year, currently on 176, including today's game. City here have themselves a free kick in the centre circle. Maresca and Guardiola were once rival players in Serie A, as Guardiola's Brescia beat Maresca's Piacenza 4-1 in February 2003. They've not come against each other as manager opponents yet until today. Maresca managing in the Championship last season, had a spell as the Parma manager too. De Bruyne left hand side, it's a flash ball in. Sanchez standing in his 6-yard box collects it. De Bruyne trying to provide the assist on this occasion.
Yeah, De Bruyne with the crosshead, obviously too close to Sanchez. Doku and Savinho have switched places already.
So a change from Pep Guardiola, who's back in his dugout. The sun's shining into those dugouts. It's the far half of the pitch that's shrouded in shade, including both penalty areas, so the goalkeepers haven't necessarily got to worry about shielding their eyes. Cucurella will have a free kick for Chelsea on this near side. Here's Colwill. Chelsea ended this season really strongly last year when their final 5 games of the Premier League campaign. Only City, Arsenal and Liverpool actually picked up more points in 2024 in the Premier League than Chelsea. They got their act together from being mid-table, if not bottom half of the table, to finishing in a European position, and they're not on the same wavelength there. No new faces necessarily, but Nicholas Jackson went for a clever back heel to release players on the near side. A City player right across the penalty area, and Edison wasn't expecting that. Thankfully Diaz was on the goal line. They've done it again. Well, the first time you might have thought it was accidental, second time looks on purpose, and City clear it away. No danger in the end. Yeah,
I was looking at Edison there, and I don't think he expected that racing past him, but in typical Edison fashion, he was like Hugh trying to sort out the system before the game. No sweat at all.
Well, I wouldn't say no sweat. There's enough steps to give us a workout here to the back of the main stand in our commentary position on the third tier. But we are broadcasting live from Stamford Bridge with you for every Manchester City game throughout the season on Total Sport, BBC Radio Manchester. Free kick on the halfway line to City, which they take quickly. Here's De Bruyne down the left-hand side. Doku stands out on the touchline. De Bruyne ignores him. Ball flies out for a throw-in.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne got in a position to cross the ball. I know it was blocked and it's gone out for the throw-in, but I'm just looking at Silvino there and thinking he's way out. He's about 10 yards outside of the area on the right-hand side here. He's got to go in. Anything goes across that far post, and still he's just outside the box, and there's a possible crossing position, but Chelsea have cleaned it up.
Bernardo sliding to make sure Manchester City retain possession at least for a little while. Chelsea have cleared it long. Edison 10 yards outside his penalty area. Collects the ball with his feet, and off Manchester City go again. 18 minutes played, still 0-0, but a good tempo and a good feel about this game. Not quite a case of feeling each other out. Oh, here's Haaland on the penalty spot. Lovely footwork. Erling Haaland past Sanchez, and Manchester City have their first goal of the season. The defending champions take the lead at Chelsea with some fine footwork from the feet of Erling Haaland. Chips it delicately over Sanchez from 6 yards out, and Manchester City are off and running. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1.
Wonderful goal from Erling Haaland there, but got to say Doku's influence there, his contribution on that left hand side, where on the right hand side he wants to take on Cucurella, and Cucurella was obviously physically capable of matching him. He's cut inside, made the inside pass. There's a little flick because the action pass wasn't fantastic, but Haaland's control, the footwork and the little dink. I'm just trying to get a replay here on a screen, but the screen's too far away, but the little dink over Sanchez, and as you said, there's been a possible offside. VAR.
So VAR is going to check this. We haven't got any direct monitors in front of us in our commentary position here, so is it checking Erling Haaland, who was in the middle of the penalty area when he picked up the ball? It was on his left foot, then his right foot, then his left foot again, and as he took it to the left of the 6 yard box, that's when he dinked it over Robert Sanchez. So we will wait to find out. I think the offside is possibly, is it against Jeremy Doku? But VAR is checking. We've got the screens up here at Stamford Bridge. VAR this afternoon is Michael Salisbury, and they are looking at the foot of Bernardo Silva inside the penalty area. Was he played offside by Moises Caicedo?
Well, all I can see is a white sock, which looks a bit further away than a blue sock, but I'm at a terrible angle here, I can't say, but I mean it would be a shame only because it was a wonderfully crafted goal And a wonderful bit of skill from Erling Haaland, but we still wait for the decision to be made.
Yeah, there's going to be some tight angles drawn here, you would imagine.
I'm looking at Pat Nevin on my right here, and he looks happy.
The former Chelsea man, Pat Nevin, watching on alongside us here. The goal stands, and Manchester City have taken the lead at Chelsea and have scored their first goal of the season. And who else would get it than Erling Haaland? 27 Premier League goals last season in 29 games. Well, it's 1-1 at the start of a brand new campaign.
Yeah, it's fantastic there. I just got to say, Pat Nevin, never play poker against him because you can't read his face, but that was, as I say, wonderful play from Jeremy Doku. Bernardo Silva, I think, with a little flick, if you like, into Erling Haaland, but then Erling Haaland's footwork was superb. Sanchez commits himself down. It's a little dink into the back of the goal, and as I said, this is a great start for Manchester City.
In all competitions, it's Erling Haaland's 100th, a century up for Manchester City. He needs 9 more goals to get a century of goals as well. That is his remarkable scoring rate. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. It took them 18 minutes, City, to get off to defend their title, and as David James alluded to, Manchester United winning, Arsenal winning, Liverpool winning over the weekend, Newcastle and Villa too. Maybe there was a little importance that Manchester City could say, we're starting quick as well. And they are doing just that in the sunshine of West London. Savinho clever, back down the line, Manuel Akanji.
Yeah, interesting there again, because Savinho's on this side now against Cucurella. He's got the skill to take him on, but he didn't take him on. Retain possession, possibly because City have just scored. You don't want to risk anything straight away, but I think that's going to be a developing battle.
Lewis has a little bit of space on the right hand side as the ball runs up towards the halfway line. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. Here's Savinho coming in from the right. Cucurella clawing him back. The ball will run on through for Kevin De Bruyne on the edge of the day. De Bruyne! Well, he had a disaster of a first game last season when he was injured for 6 months in the win over Burnley. Maybe this time around it'll be more successful. The shot from 20 yards out, Ben's just wide of the right hand post.
Yeah, Savinho there was faced up against Cucurella. Rather than taking him on down the side, he's gone inside. One thing that I think City fans will see a lot of this season with Savinho, he's not so much the guy to get the byline across it. He'll cut inside. He's got a wicked shot on from distance. That time making the pass inside and creating the opportunity there for Kevin De Bruyne.
Nice showboating there. The ball went out of play on the touchline on the halfway line in front of us, and he decided to do 3 keepy uppies, take it down on his chest, control it, the ball still on his chest, before eventually giving it to Marc Cucurella, who was in no time to watch the fancy flicks and tricks from Savinho in front of him. Manchester City lead then. We're past the midway point here at Stamford Bridge as we welcome listeners from 95.1 FM. Erling Haaland's goal checked by VAR, but it stands. Lovely footwork in the penalty area, and he's off and running for the season. Manchester City, the defending champions, are off and running for the season. 4-4 here last campaign. Don't rule that out happening again. It has been a lively start, but in the first half of the first half, Manchester City can be happy.
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's not been a massive amount of chances or shots, shall I say. I'm just thinking there, Edison's only involvement so far have been taking goal kicks, if I'm not mistaken, but and letting back passes go past him. But yeah, I think I'm just looking at the City side. It looks well balanced. Kovacic in the middle there looks confident, aggressive going forwards, and obviously, as I say, with Savinho and Doku switched. Savinho being on this right hand side, it seems like a more offensive and a more capable side that City have got on the field at the moment.
Correa back to Colwill. Erling Haaland is going all over the back of Colwill in the penalty area. He has to use Sanchez, and he's putting his players under pressure here, Robert Sanchez. He needed Caicedo to come and help him, and he did. And Chelsea actually have played their way out of the penalty area very smoothly indeed, despite the pressure that was coming from the likes of Haaland, De Bruyne, Bernardo as well. And now out towards that far side for Malo Gusto. Just rolls the ball back behind him, plays it into a more central position, still inside the Chelsea half. 1-0 to Manchester City the score. Here's Cucurella. Uses Enzo Fernandez. Pep Guardiola claps his hands above his head. His black t-shirt, black trousers on today with the white shoes for Pep Guardiola. Enzo Maresca in a long sleeve tracksuit. It is definitely not long sleeve weather. Plenty of Manchester City fans in the away end with just the club shirts on. You can see plenty of the 99 replicas in there which the club have got, and they taunt Chelsea with a wave of shushes around Stamford Bridge. Can Chelsea find something to spark the crowd going again as they try and play one down the middle to Nicholas Jackson, unsuccessfully? So City come away over the halfway line. Gusto trips Jeremy Doku. Despite the appeals of the fans and players on that far side, it's a free kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, I'm laughing. You can see the step over. It feels like we're a mile away, but it does a step over. The ball goes forward, and Doku gets fouled. I don't know what the problem was.
Is Diaz Kovacic just inviting Jackson to hunt him down, and then Akanji has played that off Christopher Nkunku, who now pulls him down on the edge of the penalty area. And Nkunku and the Chelsea fans will argue that was 50-50. Akanji gave as good as he got, but the referee Anthony Taylor says otherwise, and Manchester City have a free kick on the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, as clear as I thought the Doku foul was. I think Akanji put himself in a bad position there, was actually falling over if Nkunku hadn't been there, so might have got away with one there.
I think you're right, I think he did. And he played the ball off Christopher Nkunku as well. A poor pass from Manuel Akanji, who scored the winning penalty against Manchester United in the Community Shield last weekend, 8 days ago. Slamming it down the middle after Johnny Evans had slammed it over the bar. Here's Colwill. Now Wesley Fofana, the Frenchman, £70 million signing a couple of seasons ago, has mentioned that horrific injury last year ruled him out, so he'll be hoping for a much better campaign as the ball is floated out towards his near side in the sunshine. It works well and taken on the chest by Christopher Nkunku, who once scored a hat-trick for RB Leipzig against Manchester City in the Champions League. No real test on Edison's goal for him yet so far, though, as it's played out from Fofana to the right-hand side, and Malo Gusto back to Fofana again. There's Caicedo in near supply if he wants him. Colwill inside the centre circle. Manchester City leading here by Erling Haaland's goal to 0. 27 minutes played. Here's Lavia across the centre circle and uses Fofana again. Chelsea in royal blue from right to left as we look at it from our high vantage point here at Stamford Bridge in this first half. Palmer, real shine out star of the Euros. His impact substitutions assisting Watkins in that final when England had brief hope with the equaliser. Here's Nkunku, left corner of the penalty area. Cucurella, Lavia, nice little ball into Palmer, who couldn't get the ball out of his feet quick enough to fashion the shot. He's down on the edge of the box. He's going to appeal for a free kick as well. Enzo Fernandez evades the challenge of Bernardo Silva midway inside the Manchester City half. Here's Cucurella. Well, Chelsea have kept the possession well. Palmer, better touch, might have had a clear shot on goal.
Yeah, he had a good opportunity there. Just look at the pitch. I mean, Man City are so narrow, so compact in the middle of the field.
Nkunku with a step overs left of the penalty area, floats it to the back post. Gusto will let it bounce, and it goes towards the byline, almost towards the corner flag in front of the shed end, away to our left hand side. Gusto lays it back. Fofana, square pass in field for Palmer, who's nowhere near within shooting range now, 35 yards from goal. Here's Nkunku. Cucurella, the Spanish international, Euro winner, he's on the pitch today. Rodri for Manchester City isn't, as Palmer bends one in far too close to Edison in his 6-yard box, unchallenged, catches it chest high and rolls it out instantly for Manchester City to get going. De Bruyne across the halfway line. Doku wants a run at Moises Caicedo, who's trying to get back here for Chelsea. Now De Bruyne again. Things have calmed down. Chelsea have 4 in a row on the edge of the 18-yard box, just lining up to block off Erling Haaland. De Bruyne again. Kovacic. Doku, far side the left, up against Gusto, cuts in field, little sharp turn of pace, and now Kevin De Bruyne switches the play out towards this near side. Here's Savinho, take on Cucurella to the byline, right-footed crossing, looking for the head of Haaland, easily away by Chelsea. Heavy touch by Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea play it off. Manuel Akanji settle for the throw inside their own half.
Yeah, interesting. Watching Savinho there against Cucurella, he doesn't actually want to beat him physically, he just wants to get the space to get the cross in. He gets the cross in. Unfortunately, no one from Man City running across the face of goal to get on the end of it. But the difference between him and Doku wants to physically get past his opponent. Seems like Savinho is just happy just to get that cross in.
And some breaking rugby league news for you. Congratulations to Oldham, who've confirmed their promotion from League One as champions. Saw them a couple of weeks ago against Midlands Hurricanes. They looked impenetrable then. They nilled the Hurricanes. They have beaten second place Keighley Cougars 20 points to 12 to clinch promotion to the Championship next season. So well done to the Ruffians. Lee Leopards winning early against Salford. Red Devils boosts their playoff hopes at the Magic Weekend at Ellen Road earlier. Yesterday Wigan, phenomenal result against St Helens, getting them back to form. Bolton have finished 0-0 against Wrexham in League One this afternoon, so 4 points from their opening 2 games of the season for Bolton Wanderers. Here's Josko Vardiol. It is Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1 here at Stamford Bridge. Total Sport, BBC Radio Manchester, the third of 3 commentaries we brought you today after Leigh, Salford and Bolton Wrexham. Rounds off an opening weekend of the Premier League and the second weekend of the Football League. In the sunshine and the summer, we're sat here, myself and David James, in t-shirts. I just wonder how long that'll last into the season before the jackets and the big coats get brought out.
Enjoy it while it lasts. I've just got to say, mate, I'm watching. I'm not sure if it's just my observations from before, but they look so disciplined today. You know, in defence, of course, if they've got to close someone down, it loses its shape. It's a 4-1-4-1 defensive formation. In attack, you got 3 at the back, 2 in the middle. And then the rest essentially up top, but it's 3 at the back, Kovacic just in front, and the other 6 in the top, and it's so disciplined, so narrow now as they're in this defensive shape. I'd say they've been working on this.
Do you think part of that helps? You know, a lot of them have been back for a couple of weeks, but it helps by the fact that there isn't a lot of new faces in this. Well, apart from Savinho, that is it for Manchester City in terms of summer transfers. So this squad ticks along anyway. It's pretty much the same team that won 4 in a row last season. Yeah,
and as I say, I've not noticed this before. This kind of discipline, and I just think that, as you say, when you've got the familiar squad, then familiar instruction, it's just about tightening up what that instruction is, and it looks like it today. Yes, Rodri's not in there. Yes, Foden. Yes, Walker. That's going to. Oh, the squeeze is on. But yeah, it just looks more disciplined.
Chelsea play their way out of that squeeze that came from Kevin De Bruyne, and now they're advancing down the right-hand side into the defensive third. Lovely square pass. Enzo Fernandez goes down. Challenge came from behind from Savinho, and Anthony Taylor says no. Ball goes out of play for a throw-in. Taylor's held that up because he wants the check from VAR to confirm it wasn't a penalty. Savinho coming in behind. Enzo on the edge of the penalty area. Central position, was bundled from behind, but had the ball run away from him. That's what VAR will be looking at.
I'm just looking at a replay here, and I felt it in the game. The problem was it's a bad touch by Enzo. He's not going to be able to pick up the second ball. Then he stopped, and Savinho, who hasn't actually barged him with any kind of force, I just think it's more the bad touch. If he controls that, nailed on penalty, but he lost possession of the ball.
Fair assessment. Yeah, there's certainly no way he's getting his second touch as Enzo Fernandez let himself down on the edge of the penalty area. 33 minutes gone. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1 on BBC Radio Manchester. 8th season in a row City start on the road. Fernandez chested by Jackson. It's a poor ball from Enzo Fernandez again, who's not quite got the right boots on this afternoon. Diaz inside the D of his own penalty area. City played it back to Edison inside the 6-yard box, but calmly again to Akanji. It is such a skill to remain so calm and unpanicked in pressurising situation, but City have given it away. Now Cucurella on the byline, crossing from the left-hand side. Vardiol first to the ball, headed away. Lavia first to the second ball though, heads it square towards Moises Caicedo. Lovely flick over his own shoulder from Cole Palmer on the outstretched leg, right corner of the penalty area. Couldn't make it stick. Not a lot he could have done apart from try his best as Chelsea play it down the middle. Enzo Fernandez again. Almost falls to his knees and screams at his players for not being on the same wavelength. It runs on through to Edison.
Yeah, and with 12 minutes left, 12 minutes left in this first half. Chelsea getting the ball in some very, very good positions, but just fun. Oh, there we go. Skip past him.
Savinho's in on the penalty area, right hand side, looks up for Haaland. De Bruyne arriving too. Savinho lays it back. Kovacic, the former Chelsea man. Low shot blocked by the legs of Cucurella, and the ball spins away. And now Chelsea go over the top. The flag will stay down. It looked a clear offside, but play will go on. VAR can always check it. Jackson in the penalty area. Jackson going centrally, still going. Jackson shot off Vardiol. The second rebound comes to Gusto, right hand side of the penalty area. It was a weak shot from Jackson, but here's Gusto again for Chelsea, trying to work her way past Vardiol, who stands tall. Gusto to the byline, dinks it in over Jackson, over Nkunku, and the ball comes towards this near side. Now What's the referee done here?
Offside. That's a joke. That's a joke.
All that play, and he's called that. There was second resets. That's really poor. That's got to be one of the longest ever in between attacking phase of play and the flag going up I've ever seen under VAR.
I understand the point that there could be something happening. It's a tight decision. You called it straight away from here. I understand a little bit of play on, but Jackson had 3 opportunities to shoot. He didn't. The ball went out wide to Gusto. He had 3 opportunities to cross, and then after that, then they call the offside. I just don't get it.
Really strange. And now Manchester City got a free kick and Chelsea aren't getting their respective yards back. Ruben Diaz not happy, flings an arm up in the air in frustration at the referee Anthony Taylor. But Jackson was through, he took his shot, one of 3 attempts that he could have had. It was a poor shot, comes to Vardy. Gusto never got the shot away, and then the ball left the penalty area. That's when they put the flag up. I mean, you can say it's all in one attacking phase of play, so that is why VAR and the referee would have let it run just in case Chelsea did eventually get the shot away.
I kind of get the bit if it's 100 miles an hour. If you stop it mid-flow, then you might get the decision wrong. But the game had effectively stopped when Jackson. He's done it again.
Savinho's off again. His trickery is a breath of fresh air to Manchester City on the right-hand side. Cucurella stands him up though, just outside the penalty area. Savinho lays it back.
Yeah, I've got one concern. Well, hang on, he's in again.
He's in again. Triangular play from City, from Akanji to Kovacic in now. Savinho in the penalty area right-hand side. His layoff to Kevin De Bruyne is poor, and Nkunku can steal him. Now Akanji. Enzo Fernandez battling into the back of him, seemed to come out on top, but referee thought it was a foul. Doku's done well. Doku sees the gap, takes the shot, and needed Sanchez with a flying save to turn it around the post. Central position from Doku, 25 yards out, fierce shot. It's out for a corner.
Yeah, that's great closing down. I think it's taking a little deflection there. Great closing down again. The ball falling to Doku, strength off. I'm not sure if it's Enzo in the middle there, and he's hit the long range shot. I mean, the deflection's pretty central, and a simple save really in the end there for Sanchez. But just going back to Savinho, my concern is already, can he cross with his right foot? Because he has beaten Cucurella, been in position 3 times, cut back onto his left.
Corner comes in from Kevin De Bruyne, header away from Levi Colwill. Anthony Taylor ducks under the ball as it comes to the midway point of the Chelsea half. He did play on the right a lot last season for Girona. Here's Vardy, although in the penalty area. I think it was a half shot, half cross from a man who scored 4 goals in his final 7 Premier League games of last season. In on the left of the penalty area, but whatever he chose to do, whether it was drive it into the penalty area or a shot that was going nowhere near Sanchez's goal in the end, a wasted opportunity. Now, just before David James comes in, Savinho is off again here. Right corner of the penalty area, lays this one back to Rico Lewis.
Yeah, Guardiola with a shot. I think he's just trying to poke it into the bottom right-hand corner. Oh, good ball.
And Bernardo's now in on the right. Enzo Fernandez gets that right, covers off Bernardo well. Cucurella brings it away. Here's Nkunku, and he uses Moises Caicedo, Chelsea playing away.
Yeah, just going back to Savinho there. I mean, the thing for Cucurella, he's got to be concerned that he's beatable. However, if Savinho's not going to cross the ball with his right foot, then it gives him the opportunity to get back.
Palmer, left-footed deep cross, knocked down. Here's Jackson, he'll lay it off for Enzo Fernandez. And Manuel Akanji stands flat-footed 8 yards from his own goal. Ball bounces off him and behind for a Chelsea corner.
Yeah, another opportunity in a good position for Chelsea. Possibly the wrong shot choice given Enzo's hit the Manchester City defender, but as much as City are in the lead here, got to be careful because, as I said before, Chelsea getting in good positions. It's just the shot choice or the linesman's late flag which is helping City at the moment.
So, corner kick to Chelsea on this near side. That's their left in the first half. 6 minutes from half-time. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. Fernandez and Palmer over this. It is the right boot in swinging of Fernandez, headed away by Erling Haaland, Manchester City's main striker, doing some top defensive work. And now Savinho wants a little run here, and there's pace going forward because Savinho has found Doku, and Haaland's bursting forward, red-faced into the middle of the D. Now De Bruyne, one more through for Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne fouled on the edge edge of the box, play on. Bernardo Silva saved by the feet of Robert Sanchez. Ball flies up into the air. Chelsea can't clear it. Left-hand side of the penalty. De Bruyne is still down on the edge of the D for Manchester City. Play will continue. City are in an attacking position here with Doku. Got to be an aftermath of a yellow card for the foul on De Bruyne, who's still flat on his back. Bernardo Silva kicks it out of play, and Savinho's down as well in the sunshine. And a strip of sunshine on this near side, and a Chelsea player down. That was frantic from City. They came forward at pace, but maybe they paid a few prices for that.
Yeah, Silvino, I mean, it was a great bit of play because he's taking the ball on the right-hand side here. Rather than trying to take on the Chelsea players, he's played a lovely ball through to Doku. Doku's pass to Kevin De Bruyne. Actually, it wasn't even to Kevin De Bruyne, it was to Haaland, was deflected. And then Kevin De Bruyne, a sprint and challenge. I'm trying to work out, I don't want to have a go at the referee here, trying to work out what the advantage was, because as soon as that ball went to Bernardo Silva, he wasn't going to do much, and a free kick in front of goal might have been more advantageous to Manchester City than the actual play on.
Well, Kevin De Bruyne is up. Savinho is receiving treatment from the medics. City could really do without losing him. What it gives is two girls in front of us a chance to take a selfie of the Stamford Bridge pitch. Smiles from those, so much smile from the rest of the Chelsea contingent at the moment. They're 1-0 down with 4 minutes to half time. There's a bit of magic cream going on Savinho's right knee here.
I think it's the magic cream, magic spray. The fact that he's staying down, because just following the ball there rather than watching any here we've got a replay here. The replay is actually of the opportunity, but didn't see much that could have caused it. Obviously, as I say, following the ball, there must have been some impact, I hope, anyway.
I do think the referee was right to play the advantage. I think because you'd have been frustrated if Bernardo had the space on the left as he did and was denied a shooting opportunity. You never know, it could have gone in. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. You'd say, I think you'd rather have a Kevin De Bruyne free kick on the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, and I just think that Kevin De Bruyne stayed down on the ground. It's one of those things, and similar to the offside decision. I can understand that, of course, but when the ball fell at Bernardo Silva, I didn't feel that he was going to do anything with it, and the foul was just before it. Had it been 10-15 seconds later, I would have said, well, you've played the advantage, and then nothing came of it. In the end, Kevin De Bruyne has got out. I think that's more important than perhaps even getting the advantage, because as we know, looking at the Euros in particular, direct free kicks are not the best way to score goals.
De Bruyne is up, running around, he's fine. Savinho is receiving treatment here. I think he's going to be okay to play on, certainly for the next 3 minutes, as Manchester City look to hold on to their lead towards half-time. They are ahead through Erling Haaland's goal that was checked by VAR. Brilliant footwork for such a tall, physical figure that Erling Haaland was. There was Savinho-esque feet from Erling Haaland in for his goal.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, you're thinking that he's going to get tackled. It seemed like he chipped over a couple of players from here, and then the finish in the end as well. I mean, the amount of chances we saw this weekend, players shooting against goalkeepers along the ground. Had he gone along the ground, I think Sanchez would have saved it, but instead, cool and calm, chips it in, and as you say, that's a century of the lad's not bad.
Certainly not.
Should have put him on fantasy team.
Costs a lot of money, Erling Haaland, but there's a reason behind that. I think he's the most expensive, isn't he? £15 million for fantasy players.
15 million.
Yeah, takes a big chunk out of your 100 million budget, that.
True.
Here's Akanji. Who is your striking options then?
I'm not going to say, but he didn't score yesterday and he was my captain, but that was because I put the team together last week just to get the league going again.
Got you.
I did have Mbeumo in my team though.
He's laying out the early excuses, David James. Producer Alex has messaged me to say, guess who's got Erling Haaland and Mo Salah in their fantasy team. So Alex went big on the strikers, but it's worked for him. Good luck for the new fantasy season to everyone who's playing. Here is Palmer, right hand side of the D. It's a shot saved by Ederson. Oh, he's parried it, and Jackson scores.
Offside.
But the offside flag goes up. Jackson had moved before Palmer took the shot. VAR will of course check. There'll be questions over the save of Ederson on that from Palmer's shot, right hand side of the D, lower cross goal. And Jackson was there on the follow-up to score, just like he did in the 4-4 draw last season. But for now it remains Chelsea 0, City 1. David James.
Yeah, just trying to look at a replay. Yeah, he looks offside in the replay. Should he be offside? I mean, he's not involved in the play. The last thing you want to do is is actually be in an offside position. Cole Palmer on the right hand side of the box as we're looking at it. Jackson on the left hand side had a clear line of where the players were. You'd think to stay in position, and then you question the save. If the goal's chalked off, which I think it will be, then the save by Ederson becomes just a save, not a spill leading to a goal. But that could be a let-off for Manchester City for sure.
On another lengthy delay here as Michael Salisbury, the VAR, assisted today by Dan Cook, takes a good look at this. I don't think it's that obvious because they're taking their time, but offside stands. It remains Chelsea 0, City 1.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, Jackson's on the left-hand side of the goal. We're looking at it behind the City defenders. Should have been able to keep himself onside. I mean, no one knows what Cole Palmer's shot's going to be, but as a striker, you would be. We've got a big thing on the big screens here. I think that's Jackson's mistake.
And he's half a stride ahead, isn't he, of Manuel Akanji?
Yeah, he on the blind side of Rico Lewis, and Ederson's got away with one there.
Lavia, that's nice, creating a little bit of space, and Nkunku will peel away with a pacey ball towards the left of the penalty area. 5 minutes of added time to go here at Stamford Bridge, and Manchester City are leading by a goal to nil. I've just had a little reprieve with that offside goal chalked off for Chelsea. Lavia, central, midway inside the Manchester City half. Now to the left-hand side, the near again for Chelsea in royal blue with Nkunku floated into the space on the far side now. The shade where Malo Gusto fakes one cross, fakes a second. Doku square up against him, back doing his defensive duties. Now Palmer drops deep to try and carry a little bit of offering for Chelsea, who come back out towards this near side again. Nkunku, Cucurella back into his own half for Levi Colwill. Manchester City man for man out there at the minute, giving Chelsea very few options. Chelsea reliant at times on the pace that they carry. Here's Nkunku, Jackson, little clever back heel from him, and it allows Nkunku to come forward, but Kovacic slides in, wins the ball, and Manchester City have it back, and De Bruyne is then hauled to the floor as he tries to carry it up towards the halfway line. Free kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, that was a very important tackle from Kovacic. The second time that he's managed to stop a Chelsea attack towards goal. I think Kevin De Bruyne there knew what he was doing, left that lazy leg out. I was just going to say there, I think Pep would have been fuming because it took an age for Savinho to get on the field. He stood in front of us there for a good couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and the goal was scored while he was off the field, or the disallowed goal, shall I say. And I wonder what Pep would have had to say had that goal stood.
Yeah, absolutely. And the City manager sat down in his dugout for now, hands behind the back of Enzo Maresca, who guided Leicester to a return to the Premier League, winning the Championship. Only just got over the line in the end, Leicester. Doku, turn of pace against Gusto, and Doku lays it in to Bernardo Silva. Good defensive work from Chelsea. Romeo Lavia tight on Bernardo. Chelsea have played it long towards the halfway line. Diaz to Vardiol. And now Manuel Akanji, as City go back into the Chelsea half. Pocket of space for Vardiol, who can carry the ball forward. A second here for Manchester City right on half time would be so handy as Doku cuts in. I think the referee, who was close to the action, felt that Doku had lost the ball anyway when cutting in from the left-hand side. Lavia, 3 minutes of the 5 at the end of this first half have elapsed. Chelsea trailing Manchester City by a goal to nil. Here's Palmer, pacey ball. Fernandez's touch again lets him down, but he's tricked his way through. Ball runs on through to Ederson. Another appeal for a penalty from the Chelsea fans. Diaz with a long leg there that might have caused some issues. Fernandez has stayed down. VAR, of course, can check. As we get information of why Jackson's goal was ruled out. I mean, we knew that anyway. We want to know the VAR decision on this penalty, perhaps, David James.
Yeah, I'm privy to a replay here. Enzo falls to the floor, gets up. No, that's good defending. In the end, the ball just ran away from him. He stayed down on the floor, holding his right ankle here at the moment. Is it right ankle? Left ankle, sorry. But I think it's because he fell over. And it's good defending in the end.
Do you think some of that is to convince the referee that was contact as well? If you stay down, it looks like you're injured and you haven't gone down of your own accord?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe telling VAR, have a look at this.
Are we suggesting something?
Psychology.
No, I think
psychology.
Yeah, I mean, after what happened with Danilo, and hopefully he recovers quickly yesterday, you know, some injuries aren't feigning the referee. This isn't anything like that, of course, but I just think because he was off balance, trying to keep hold of the ball, and attempting to get a contact on it before he was the ball was taken away from him. Plus, as well as tried to get a penalty earlier, didn't he?
If you missed that yesterday, Danilo, the Nottingham Forest Brazilian player, broken ankle from a fairly innocuous jump in the air. It's just the way he landed, but nasty injury. A long time treating him on the field yesterday as well. Chelsea 0, City 1. The clock is running closer to those 5 minutes of added time. As the referee is telling Enzo Fernandez, you're going to have to go towards the far side of the field to come back on. He wanted to stay on the byline, I think. So play resumes. There'll be a couple more seconds, if not minute or two, at the end of this first half as we hit that 5 minutes of added time. Bouncing ball could prove awkward here for Chelsea. Long ball forward. De Bruyne's trying to do well. Doku a little bit slow to react to De Bruyne's effort. Here is Palmer. Jackson inside the centre circle, gets the turn on Akanji and then plays a ball across the defence that runs into the penalty area for Nkunku. Right-footed shot, blocked by Lewis. Savinho comes on the recovery. It comes back to... Oh, that's going to be a tough shout. As Nkunku goes down. It definitely seemed like a reasonable shout there from Chelsea, not given by Anthony Taylor in the penalty area. Lewis was tight to him. Here's Caicedo. Chelsea trying to end this first half strongly. They trail by a goal to 0. Cucurella has been a really good opening half to watch here at Stamford Bridge. Manchester City with the advantage. Here's Fernandez. We're now into the 6 minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half, and the whistle goes. Well, the boos will be for the match officials. Chelsea feel in the Manchester City penalty area they've been hard done by, but it's Manchester City, the 4 in a row champions who've started in style. Erling Haaland's goal with some fancy footwork has given them the lead here at Stamford Bridge. 20 minutes gone in the game. City have looked sharp, they've looked organised, they've looked impressive. Half-time, Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1.
James, you could almost say business as usual when it comes to Haaland sticking the ball in the back of the net and numerous VAR checks as everybody, whatever they might have been doing, holding the breath, rolling their eyes. Either way, there were cheers to follow. It does feel like business as usual, but is it in your eyes?
Well, business for usual for me in London, City being 1-0 up at half time is definitely not a sentence I would have thought I was going to be saying today. I've been very impressed, especially going forward as we expect from City. They've looked lively. I think the switch for Doku and Savinho from either side has impacted the game in a positive way for City. Cucurella now looked vulnerable, which he didn't necessarily in those opening few minutes. The midfielders look strong with Kovacic, some big defending in there, some big defending from Diaz. I think he's having a wonderful game. Unfortunately for Edison, Jackson being offside has saved his blushes and what I would consider business as usual, City drawing at half time. So there's a lot of positives, but interestingly it's been a fascinating watch in that first half, even if the goalkeepers haven't been overly tested. So you can see this Chelsea side. I mean, I feel a bit of frustration from the Chelsea fans, because I know for a few seasons now they've seen the same thing. Lots and lots of build-up play, lots and lots of opportunity and no end product, and that's kind of mirroring again that first 45 minutes. They've got into some very good positions against Manchester City. If it hasn't been for great defending or poor finishing, then we would be looking at a different scoreline at half time.
Just a quick word on Doku. You mentioned him switching back over, I should say, to the left. That has made a significant difference, hasn't it? He had a great opportunity from the edge of the box when he cut inside, and indeed he was able to pick the Chelsea lock, if you like, to create that opening for Haaland. Yes.
It's interesting because where Doku wants to go on his right hand side past Cucurella in the early stages of his game down to the byline and get across it, Cucurella knows that's going to happen, and you know he did very, very well against Doku, to the point that as I expected there would be a change. The difference is, and I mentioned it before, that Savinho's getting in behind Cucurella, either through passes or getting the space to get crosses in without actually physically beating him. So there is a problem for Chelsea now on that left hand side. Doku on the left hand side goes on his right foot, comes in across the box, like you say, picked the lock. Yes, it took a little it was not the best pass to Silva, but that little flick to Erling Haaland and a wonderful footwork led to the goal. So Chelsea now have a different problem. I can't see Pep Guardiola changing the two back. Hopefully Silvinho's okay, given his lengthy time on the floor from what seemed like an innocuous challenge, which we didn't quite see. But I just think the two in the positions there at the moment are going to cause more problems in the second half.
Although the goal was ruled out, it was coming, wasn't it? Chelsea have been knocking on the door. That one obviously ruled offside from Nicholas Jackson following that Cole Palmer shot. But that Cole Palmer shot was pretty much the only one I can remember where a Chelsea player has actually put the foot through the ball. Because they've created and there's been such weak finishes at the end.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think Chelsea, I mean, you can tell by the groans that it's not a one-off. It seems like a regular thing. And having watched Chelsea over the last few years, the quality that they've got to get into positions to cause problems, you expect better when they actually get in those positions. Even with the offside with the Jackson and the delayed flag from the linesman, there was an opportunity for Jackson to shoot much earlier and he didn't. And he's kind of, I can't say that they're nervous or under pressure in these positions, but you would think with the quality they've got, they should do better. One thing the City have got to be careful of, there's been a few penalty shouts. Yes, the referee's got them spot on, or the VAR's got them spot on, that they shouldn't have been penalties, but there will be, if it continues this way, the one that possibly is more borderline and therefore a chance for VAR to give that decision. So the City defenders still have to be very wary of their challenges inside the box.
Let's see what the fans have to say then, starting with Nat, who says, you've just mentioned Savinho and hoping that he's okay after that challenge that left him feeling a bit uncomfortable, let's say. Nat says Savinho goes past players easily, like Mahrez.
I think he's better than Mahrez. I mean, the thing is, Stacey, we don't know. I mean, the players don't know him. You can get all the video footage you want on a player until you actually face him up one-on-one, and you can, those little idiosyncrasies, you go, oh, yeah, I know what you're going to do now. And I think Jeremy Doku is that player. You know, players will be used to him from last season, and once you played against him, then video footage makes more sense. Savinho will be an unknown quantity for players, so at the moment he's got the head start. Yes, he can go past players. Where you mentioned Mahrez, I think most people knew what Mahrez was going to do, and if you're a half-decent defender and you've got half-decent backup, then you can nullify that threat, and that's probably why Mahrez is still not a City player.
It's exactly that. Mahrez used to play on the right-hand side and always cut in left-footed. You knew the Mahrez trademark shot was to get one away on the corner of the penalty area. Savinho wears Mahrez's number, 26.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, Sam. Just got to say, and I'm just echoing what I said in the commentary there. The two times that Savinho had open space and time on the right-hand side of the box and didn't cross with his right foot. You could argue that there wasn't a cross on, but I would argue he's not a player who has the confidence or the capability, I wouldn't say capabilities, but he doesn't have the confidence to put the ball in with his right foot, which if Pep and his coaching staff are going to get the best out of this player, you get him on the training field, you get him putting in a cross, which Erling Haaland is familiar with, or any other player at City is familiar with his right foot, and he will have assist after assist after assist.
This is an interesting one, David, from Mike, because we've just been talking about Doku and the difference, you know, the direct impact he had when he switched over to the left. Yeah. Mike says, personally, I'd say Doku needs to improve immensely to cement his place in this starting lineup.
Well, what's really interesting, we have to go back to Oscar Bob, because obviously with Oscar Bob being able to play these positions at times where he's on the right hand side, left hand side, like he did with his assist at Wembley last weekend, I think that, and Jack Grealish is another one, the pressure was on Doku, arguably on Savinho, even though he's just turned up, to actually perform week in, week out at a higher level with the competition within the squad. Oscar Bob not being in there is taking a little bit of that pressure off, dare I say. But I go back to the point about Savinho, the same with Doku. Doku's been here for a season now. Bringing in players who have quality is one thing, making them better, which everyone talks about Pep, how he improves players. Well, things like Doku and his predictability, his contributions from positions where, again, crossing with his left foot, crossing with his right foot, you get those bits of improvement, then he's going to be a lethal weapon for Manchester City. I just need to see, or I think City and City fans just need to see that marked improvement in the likes of Doku this season to be the player that I think when they brought him in that he was capable of being.
John says it sounds awfully quiet at the Bridge. Was there any space left for fans after Chelsea's playing squad was seated? Squad of 43. Thank you, John. Very clever. Matty says Chelsea look like they have no game plan. Their passing is sloppy and some of their first touches are appalling. Chelsea fan Gareth says, I'm struggling to see this fabled passing out of defence total football that Maresca was brought in to get us playing. It looks pretty rudimentary and route one to me. It makes you wonder whether it was actually worth sacking Pochettino at all. And this one I want to get your thoughts on from Joe. What is this absurdity of not raising the flag when the offside is glaring? A player may get seriously injured in the meaningless sequence of play after the offside.
Well, I'll go with Joe first. I don't subscribe to the injury thing, because this happens numerous times in every Premier League game, every professional football match where the referee or the linesman delays the flag. I've hardly seen any injuries. I know City have had a couple of injuries last season from it, but statistically the injuries are negligible, so I don't think that's a problem. I just think it's a frustration when everyone knows he was offside and they let the play like today go on for 30 plus seconds. Just going back to the Maresca playing out the back thing, I was at Portman Road yesterday. Liverpool had a problem with Ipswich's press in the first half. They kept giving the ball away. They were doing a lot of sort of long ball, route one stuff, losing possession. It looked like Ipswich, and what City are doing today, the press was working effectively. The problem is at half time, if you've got the capability in communication from the manager to the players, and you've got the capability in the players on the field, then they'll start playing out the press like Liverpool did yesterday. So I think it will work. It's just the first game, and I don't think Chelsea or Maresca in particular are expecting Man City to press as well as they have done in that first half. So don't be surprised if Chelsea continue doing it in the second half but get more success out of it.
David, Mike, thank you very much. We're back with them at Stamford Bridge for the second half soon, and just a statistic here, Blues, which will hopefully make you feel a little bit more settled if indeed there's any nerves whatsoever. Manchester City are unbeaten in their last 65 Premier League matches when leading at half time. So there you go. Hopefully that'll lift you as you're going into the second half, if indeed any nerves are kicking in. If you want to get in touch, 81333 is the number to text. Start your message with the word Mank, or you can tweet us at BBCRM Sport throughout the second half and put your points to David James, of course. Right, let's have a look at the scores then. In the Premier League, it finished Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. Chelsea currently trailing Manchester City 1-0. In his 100th appearance for Manchester City, Haaland has his 91st goal for the club. That is quite incredible, isn't it? In League One, it finished Bolton 0, Wrexham 0. In the Super League, Lee Leopards beat Salford Red Devils 26-0, and currently it's Catalans Dragons 4, Hull KR 22. In the Championship, Swinton 20, Halifax 6, and in League One it finished Keighley 12, Oldham 20, which means that Oldham are champions of League One.
On BBC iPlayer.
We are not in control of this situation.
We know that these shootings are very upsetting for the community.
It's a gathering storm, and I'm worried about anyone who's at the centre of it.
There will be consequences.
And this culture or code of not grassing, we are way beyond that now.
They're all turning on each other. This ends before it begins.
Revenge runs in the family. I go down, you go down.
Blood for blood.
Put them down.
We've been in danger before.
But this is different, Rory. Look at me. This is different.
Sherwood, Series 2.
It's on a knife edge out there.
Starts next Sunday on BBC iPlayer.
Total Sport.
BBC Radio Manchester.
So Manchester City leading Chelsea 1-0 away at Stamford Bridge. Second half commentary on the way with Mike Minay and David James. And in your first Total Sport commentary earlier on at Magic Weekend, Lee Leopards stunned Salford Red Devils. They won 26-0 to move 3 points outside the playoffs, and it was a big win for head coach Adrian Lamb.
Yeah, obviously very pleased. A bit nervous coming into the game because of the importance of the end result for us. So it's a big game mentality. So just pleased that we've come away with a win, and very, very happy.
Obviously a great start try for Epape after like 6 minutes or so, but then Salford self-destructed a little bit. That must have helped.
Yeah, just a little bit of ill-discipline there, I think, on their behalf, sort of put them under pressure, and it's exactly what you need as a coach, you know. So, but I thought we responded really well as a team. I thought we defended outstanding. That's our focus moving forward in the next 6 weeks, and there was times there where we looked like we weren't going to get broken. So I'm just proud that the boys have done the job on a really big day.
So as a performance, perhaps not your finest, but one that needed.
I think there was a lot of finals rugby about that. That's what happens in the big games. You don't quite nail your performance, but you've got to defend well and you've got to hang in there and wait for those moments. And I thought we did exactly that and got some results to go our way in the last 15 minutes. Where that's where we want to be as a club and a team. And it had a really big game feel about it this week, so I'm just proud of them.
And 3 points is the gap now on the top 6. Does that enter your mind at all?
It does, but I try not to allow that to happen because you're always looking forward to how you're going to get there. But like I said, you've just got to make sure you focus on the week-to-week performance and the day-to-day training and preparation. It's just crucial that we stay present and stay in the moment.
Zach Hardick, man of the match, trying 5 goals. How was his performance?
Awesome. He was absolutely brilliant at the back there, and that's what he's capable of doing. And it's his favourite football team, Leeds United, and he's here every week, so he probably knows the ground better than everyone else. So I'm pleased for him. He's had he's been right centre, left wing, full back. So it's important. He played a really lead role today with Moreland being out. So again, I'm pleased for him.
Well, that was a really interesting interview, that was. And of course, for Salford Red Devils, discipline was a big part of the problem for them today. At one point in the first half, Salford had 2 players at the same time, no less, in the sin bin, which affected proceedings quite significantly. So you can have a listen back to all of that on BBC Sounds, and there's plenty of reaction throughout the week, of course, here on BBC Radio Manchester. But it's time now to go back to Stamford Bridge for the second half of Chelsea and Manchester City. The Blues taking a 1-0 advantage in at the break. Let's go to your commentary team now then of David James and Mike Minay.
Stacey, thank you. Change at the break for Manchester City. Savinho, who took that knock in the first half, has been replaced by Euro 2024 finalist Phil Foden of Manchester City. Only returned to training on Monday. Pep Guardiola was very strict this summer that all players would have between 3 and 4 weeks off. So since the Euros final, Phil Foden has had a lot of downtime. He's been fishing. He has been to luxurious locations as well, but he's been seen by a fishing lake with his son Ronnie, and he's on the pitch now. We're back underway. No changes for Chelsea at the break. Manchester City in possession at the minute with Ruben Diaz. Run you through the 2 teams when we get chance. City are now right to left in the second half. Nice 1-2 between Vardiol and Kevin De Bruyne on this near side, but then Vardiol loses out, gets up off the floor quickly actually, and intercepts a pass through to the near side for Chelsea. So City right to left, sky blue shirts, white shorts, navy socks, and Chelsea in their royal blue outfits with the white socks are from left to right. Here is Doku, who remains on the left hand side. Phil Foden is out on the right, and now Mateo Kovacic across the centre circle to Akanji. Foden's first touches with his bright orange boots. Back to Akanji again. Manchester City look to canter forward towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. Foden just lets Rico Lewis run back with the ball out towards that far side. Here's Akanji.
Yeah, it's a different proposition now for Cucurella, and obviously a different option with Savinho. Hopefully it's just a knock and nothing long term, but I'm sure Phil Foden can do well. He can net himself a goal.
Given away by Sanchez. De Bruyne on the corner of the penalty area, hangs it up back post. It runs past Haaland. It won't find Foden, who now bangs shoulders with Marc Cucurella out for a throw-in. Yeah,
that's a bad bit of play out the back there from Chelsea. Something I think Sanchez had problems with last season. Hence him being dropped last season. So hopefully Manchester City in the second half can capitalise on his possible lack of confidence.
So Chelsea have Sanchez in goal, Gusto Fofana, Colwell and Cucurella, their back 4. Caicedo and Lavia hold the midfield. Palmer, Fernandes and Nkunku behind Nicholas Jackson. For Manchester City then, Edison is their goalkeeper. Brown goalkeeper's outfit for him this afternoon, away to our right hand side. Luis Diaz, Akanji and Vardiol the back 4. Kovacic holding the midfield, then Foden, Bernardo, Kevin De Bruyne and Doku sitting just behind the man who's got the goal this afternoon. The reason it's Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1 in Erling Haaland. Edison inside his D, plenty of time to assess what his option is, and it's just left-footed, simple pass to his right hand side to use Ruben Diaz, whose Portugal exploits at Euro 2024 were cut short. The team would have had greater ambitions, I'm sure. Ederson back to Diaz. No Raheem Sterling today, incidentally, for Chelsea. Scored here home, and in fact scored home and away against Manchester City last season. His representatives have put out a statement saying he actually came back to training 2 weeks earlier than he should have. Has a good relationship with Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea coach, and it was expected that he would be playing today. As a camp, we've always had positive dialogue with and assurance from Chelsea as they play it into the penalty area, chasing the equaliser. Jackson couldn't turn in time. It looked like Enzo Fernandez got in his way as well, or Jackson got in Fernandez's way, and City have cleared it out towards his near side. As a camp, they say we've had positive dialogue with and assurance from Chelsea that in relation to Raheem Sterling's future at the club, so we look forward to gaining clarity on the situation. Until then, we'll continue to support Raheem's desire to start the new season positively. 4 minutes played, Chelsea 0, City 1.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement there. I was with Scott Minto before the season started doing an interview talking about Chelsea, and the uncertainty with so many players coming in, and I know they've brought in a lot of young players which they'll probably farm out and look to use or sell in the future, but that statement seems like a concerning issue for Raheem Sterling.
I'm sure Maresca will be asked about it after the game. Keep your eye on the BBC Sport website and app for the latest from that. BBC Sport website and apps where you can also sign up to notifications regularly from Manchester City. They sometimes put me on there and call it an expert view. I'm not sure about that. There's fans' views as well, the latest content and interviews. If you go on BBC Sounds and search Manchester City, no, we're not really here podcast this season, but we are making sure you get weekly updates from the world of Manchester City with what's going on. So if you search that in BBC Sounds, you'll be able to subscribe there and get all the latest content. Here's Jeremy Doku, down on the halfway line under a fair challenge. Chelsea inside the centre circle. They're left to right in the second half. Ball over the top, and Ederson reads that well. Jackson had the pace, but Ederson had the reading and gathers on the edge of his penalty area.
Yeah, great positioning there. It was actually a very nice ball, but Ederson's great positioning, able to come out, start, I was going to say an attack, but City kept it. It seems like City are more about possession in these early stages, especially in the second half.
Kovacic for Manchester City, just to the left of the centre circle. Vardiol to Doku, who shuffles inside and breezes away from Gusto. Square past to Bernardo Silva, who'll carry it back out to this near side left. De Bruyne with that swept back long blonde hair now that he demonstrates. He did have it in a bun at one point. Can't say it suited him necessarily, but then again, who am I to comment? Doku, De Bruyne trying to find Bernardo Silva. Actually a deflection, carries it to Bernardo, then Haaland. Good reaction save from Sanchez. Haaland from a standing start, left-footed shot. Sanchez diving to his right, equal to it, and it's out for a throw-in on this near side.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva, nice little layoff there. Haaland, I mean, it's very, I say central to Sanchez's right, but it wasn't in the corners, mid-height in the goal, comfortable save.
There is effectively a team worth of players going through their warm-ups. You're allowed now 5 substitutes to go for a warm-up at any time, as opposed to 3 of seasons gone by. So Manchester City right now have James McAtee, Nathan Ake, Matthias and Nico O'Reilly warming up down there. Kyle Walker stands alone.
I was just thinking of my analogy of the tube station. So Stacey, if you can imagine, it's like going down the tube tunnels to get on the train for this substitute warming up. There are so many people in a very congested area.
Yeah, there's a fair rush hour crowd to battle through there, isn't there?
Cameramen and bald people as well.
Is Kovacic, Foden. Chelsea have 5 warming up as well in their pink bibs. Down to our left-hand side. The end that Manchester City are attacking in this second half. 7 minutes have gone of the second 45, and City still lead through that Erling Haaland goal 20 minutes into the first half. A little dink over Sanchez, tried to fire his most recent shot past the Spanish goalkeeper of Chelsea. Akanji's got to be careful on his touch. And Nkunku wanted to chase. He gets it back to Ederson, who knocks the ball away from Jackson and fires it long into the Chelsea half. It will be A throw-in though to the home side on this near side.
Yeah, a couple of overweighted passes there. Pep Guardiola though applauding Ederson for the clearance. He's a world record holder for the longest kick, so the clearance in the opposition half was not unexpected.
Chelsea do have European football this season, but their 6th place finish last season meant they've had consecutive non-top 4 finishes for the first time since 2002. Here comes Cucurella, left-hand side. He no-look crossed that low into the penalty area. Picked up by City. There was no one on the trajectory of the ball that, in a dark blue shirt of Chelsea, that looked like they might get to. Haaland fires it out towards this near side. He's caught late and wins Manchester City a free kick.
Yeah, Haaland got the ball under pressure there, and fortunately for him, he was caught because the ball actually went out of play. But Phil Foden tracking back, controlling Cucurella's cross, a little calm pass out to Kovacic, and then the ball into Erling Haaland. So, as I say, when I mentioned possession by City, we know possession is City's game, but it doesn't often seem to be attacking as Rico Lewis gets to the byline.
And tries to pull it back instantly before the ball runs out of play. Free kick given as Bernardo Silva clips the heels of Marc Cucurella, who's not happy in all of that. Bit of an overreaction from Marc Cucurella, it would seem. And free kick to Chelsea inside their own penalty area. City are leading. They've taken 10 points from a possible 12 on their last 4 visits to Stamford Bridge. The last time they lost here was in June 2020, a baking hot night in London, and a night that gave Liverpool the Premier League title. City lost here 2-0, and it meant that Liverpool could not be caught. But since then, pretty much City are on course for a 10th game in a row unbeaten against Chelsea. The last time Chelsea beat City in any competition was the Champions League final of 2021, that night in Porto. Chelsea here have themselves a throw-in as Doku ran out of room, powering down the left-hand side. Guardiola emerges, black t-shirt on, finger pointing frantically towards Phil Foden. He just waves a little hand in acknowledgement as a gesture towards his manager. Chelsea still yet to take this throw in. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. Here is Lavia under a little bit of pressure from Haaland and Bernardo, but sees it back to Robert Sanchez.
Oh wow. Well, sorry, Chelsea had half a chance, no, it seems like 6-7 minutes ago, where there was a mix-up with Jackson in the penalty area and nothing happened. But their passing in this second half has been really poor. City have blocked a couple. Cucurella there, passing the ball out in his own half for a Manchester City throw-in. Not a good start for Chelsea in the second half.
City lead, and Manchester City lead without Rodri in the side. Only came back to training on Wednesday, and City last year couldn't win a game without Rodri in the squad. And remarkably, at the start of the season, 2 games without Rodri. They're on course for 2 victories. Now Palmer couldn't squeeze that past Vardiol inside the centre circle. If he had, he would have released Gusto on the near side right. Ball on the far side with Manchester City at the minute. Phil Foden and Kovacic interchanging passes. Have they missed Rodri?
At the moment, no. I mean, it looks comfortable. In fact, it looks kind of painfully comfortable at the moment, as I say, because City are holding on. I say holding on. They're protecting this lead by keeping the ball. Apart from Haaland's shot, granted, they haven't really created much. And Chelsea have had possession and given possession away, which is more concerning. It's not that Chelsea have not had possession. Foden
wants to slide it on through on the corner of the penalty area for Lewis. It doesn't. It comes out wide to Bernardo Silva on the right for Manchester City, who lead 1-0. City without Rodri, Chelsea without Conor Gallagher, who played 37 of the 38 games last season for Chelsea. Move away from him. Bernardo Silva, low cross in from the right-hand side, looking for Erling Haaland, but it's away from the Chelsea defence. Akanji and Fernandes battle. Fernandes really will feel the rub of the green's not gone against it, not gone with him this afternoon, but that one was a 50-50 and referee just says throw in. And in fact, Anthony Taylor then mocks Enzo Fernandez.
I think Enzo Fernandez has spent more time or been on the floor more times than he's had completed passes in this game so far. and that's another poor pass. The ball, Cucurella throws to Fernandes. It's a simple layoff back. Instead, he's kicked it out for a throw into Manchester City halfway into the Chelsea half.
And Chelsea are going to make a change. Pedro Neto gets his Chelsea debut. Moving from Wolves in the summer, a relatively sizable price tag, £54 million a week ago it was announced. He replaces Christopher Nkunku. Last goal for Neto was the 4-3 thriller against Manchester United, which Wolves lost. Neto netted in the 90th minute, thought he got Wolves a precious point. And he comes on for his Chelsea debut at the home of Chelsea in Stamford Bridge. City have taken that throw-in. Kovacic back to Akanji. It's in their back line on the defensive third.
Yeah, this is an interesting signing, this one. I was looking at his record. I mean, he's not a prolific goal scorer. I think 3 or 4 years ago he might have knocked in a few for Wolves, but not a prolific goal scorer. I think a couple of goals in the Premier League last season, and for the price tag, he's going to have a lot of assists.
Yeah, 11 Premier League goals in 111 Premier League matches for Wolves. That's his record. Palmer. Caicedo, central, 30 yards out, takes the shot, clatters it straight against Bernardo Silva, then sends to the right hand side for Fernandes, and Lewis has to get there first before Neto, and does. Corner to Chelsea, delicately rolled ball across the 6-yard box to Enzo Fernandez, and racing in was Pedro Neto, but Rico Lewis got a sprint on and denied Chelsea an equaliser.
Fantastic defending there by Rico Lewis. The attempted shot, or the shot from distance, and the deflection allowed for the cross, but Rico Lewis kept his wits about him. He's taken a knock as well as he hobbles around. Just looking at Kovacic there on the near post, lining up ready for this corner. On his haunches a little bit, looks like he's blowing.
Corner far side to Chelsea, in swing towards the near post. It might drop for Fofana, who wanted to try and get a swivel kick away once the ball had hit him, but Kovacic has sent that clear, and De Bruyne has won his header against Malo Gusto. Now Doku trying to burst away, trying to cut across Gusto as well, and Doku's done brilliantly. Doku square pass, won't find Erling Haaland on the edge of the penalty area, and Lavia can bring it away.
Doku did so well there against Gusto, used his strength to get in front of him, got in a great position. The squaring of the ball there, I think, was just a reaction rather than reading of the game. Go on, Rico Lewis, as Chelsea go forward, long ball, but Rico Lewis has fielded it, defended it. But Doku there, I don't think he looked at Erling Haaland or Kevin De Bruyne. He gestured after that someone should have been there, but I would argue he should have known where the players were for the pass.
Yeah, I think he knew someone would be there, or in and around the vicinity.
I think he was expecting someone to be there without reading the situation, but he did so well to get into the position in the first place.
Chelsea left-hand side, Manchester City lead. They are 24 matches, if you include this one, unbeaten at the minute. City, they won their last 9 of the Premier League last season to win it on the final day, pipping Arsenal to the post. As Chelsea with Neto, left-hand side, the cross, it is good. Fernandes flicks on his header. Gusto will cross it back in. Bernardo Silva heads it away. Lavia forward, Jackson on the turn, stings the palms of Edison and sent away by Vardiol for a Chelsea throw-in by the corner flag on this near side. Well, that's got Stamford Bridge going. Chelsea are turning the screw here. City, for now, are holding their resistance.
Yeah, he was straight at Edison, but he's required his reflexes there because Jackson was so close. The initial header was, as I say, wide. Just look at this, it's a wonderful cross. I mean, the initial header was nothing. They've kept it alive as the ball comes back into the middle of the box, literally in the middle. Straight at Edison, but good reflexes by Edison in the end.
So City still lead 1-0. Only 3 times in Premier League history the defending champions lost their opening game. City did it at Spurs in 2021. Chelsea did it against Burnley in 2017, Leicester the other side against Hull in 2016. Chelsea have got to find an equaliser before they worry about beating Manchester City. Nice little side shuffle from Caicedo, right-footed cross. Well, Neto wasn't expecting that, and when the ball came to him on the left of the penalty area, it just hit him and flew towards the byline where Edison could make the save. It's a let-off again.
Yeah, again, good reactions from Edison there, quickly onto the ball, but Neto really should have had a better touch, I think. Read the situation. He's on the far post or the far side of the goal for a reason. A better touch, and he'd have had a free shot at Edison, but good goalkeeping in the end.
City were only won 2 of 10 games against the top 6 last season. Drew 6 of them. Lost 2. Need a better record, but Chelsea finished in the top 6 and City are winning at the moment by a Erling Haaland goal to nil on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport. Here is De Bruyne, carries the ball down the left-hand side. Doku comes to offer support. And De Bruyne flicks it back out towards his near side touchline. Chelsea are going to bring on Marc Guéhi in a minute. Here's Diaz. And Foden from the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva, in fact. Chelsea have just sent the substitute back down the touchline to continue a warm-up. Here is Manuel Akanji trying to hold up on the touchline. Kovacic comes across, it works well. And in fact, Kovacic just evades Enzo Fernandez too. So City come forward once more with De Bruyne, Kovacic, and Bernardo Silva in the centre circle.
I think this is basically an indication of what I was talking about before, because it seemed painfully slow the way that City were trying to build up play. And the fans now, the Chelsea fans, have sort of got behind the team because they've created a couple of chances. Chelsea will feel maybe that City aren't at it this second half and got a chance. But we know what happens in these games. One great pass, City go and lead 2-0, but that's what's going to be needed.
Doku, left-hand side, that cross is a deep one. Foden will have to get on the recovery and get on the sprint towards the far side touchline to keep it in play. A little slip from him on that far side, but does keep it in Manchester City possession. Bernardo Silva, Kovacic midway inside the Chelsea half this, but creeping back towards the halfway line. Diaz, Vardiol, Doku, left-hand side will take on Malo Gusto. Marc Guéhi's about to come on here as De Bruyne floats it back post. Haaland on the chest control. Suspicion of offside. Luis in, but now the offside flag goes up.
Well, I'm not sure, you know. I think he's given a foul. The linesman hasn't put his flag up, so I'm not sure if he's given a foul against Erling Haaland there. Erling Haaland was on the floor and seemed to be trying to do something from the position of the floor. We've just seen a replay here. Erling Haaland controls it with his chest, goes for the shot. I think he might have given a foul. Yeah, he's given a foul on... Is that Caicedo?
There is an offside. VAR is checking the disallowed goal here, so it will check the foul and then it will check possible offside, I imagine. Yeah, foul is the initial reason given on the big screens. So Erling Haaland in the penalty area.
Yeah, I think it's from the initial challenge, not from when he was on the floor, because I think it's Caicedo, is it? There's actually got a touch on the ball there. Let's hope the VAR feeling for Manchester City. I think it's a harsh foul. Am I allowed to say that?
So still the screens are up, so let's see how this is carried forward by VAR. Player down in the box for Chelsea is still receiving
it's Colwill, sorry, not Caicedo.
By Colwill. As Chelsea do bring on the substitute, Nicholas Jackson being replaced. 18-year-old Marc Guéhi Paz comes on.
Nicholas Jackson, number 38, Marc Guéhi.
5-year deal from Barcelona he signed for. His debut for Barcelona saw him come on and instantly score a winning goal in the first minute of his pro career. 1-0 win over Atletico Bilbao in October 2023. And here he is as a Chelsea player. No goal, so it stands at Chelsea 0, City 1.
Yeah, as I say, I think it was that challenge from Erling Haaland. He was going for the ball. Colwill got there first, and then Erling Haaland made contact with Colwill. Colwill's gingerly getting up now, but encouraging signs.
So, play resumes. We get a quick replay of that foul from Erling Haaland. I guess VAR has to check if it's clear and obvious error by the referee who'd called the foul. So that is what they did.
I think it was the right decision.
So here's Fofana on the ball for Chelsea. Now Palmer out towards the far right-hand side as Chelsea have freshened up their attack. So what impact can they have against the Manchester City defence that remains unchanged at the minute? Jack Grealish going for a warm-up. Missed the Community Shield with a slight knock. And James McAtee also warming up down there. Here's Colwill.
Yeah, City just sitting in. They're not pressing now. I'm just thinking about Stacey, the caller who mentioned Chelsea playing out the back. Well, I don't think City have put the press on to put them under any pressure at the moment as they go long again. Guardiola dealing with it. Doku's had a lot of ball. He's on the ball now, running down the line against Gusto. But as I say, I think just City need to up the tempo. Yes, they've scored a goal which is disallowed, but as I say, there's not enough tempo, I don't think, in the build-up, and it's given encouragement to Chelsea, dare I say, that they can get something out of this game.
Kanji, Manchester City still leading by a goal to 0. We're past the midway point now, the second half then. And here's De Bruyne for Vardiol. Diaz and Bernardo Silva, the two Portuguese internationals, combining. Bernardo Silva, who had another missed penalty last weekend against Manchester United. Didn't matter in the end. United missed twice. But Bernardo Silva
scored the equaliser, doesn't he? He scored the penalties as well.
Now, I'd be surprised to see him on penalty duty again, given the Real Madrid one as well. They haven't been great penalties from Bernardo. Vardiol goes long to the halfway line. Easy control for Malo Gusto. Here's Palmer. Caicedo was waiting infield, but the ball never found him as Fofana steals in from behind on Kevin De Bruyne, who hits the deck. I think that's a fair decision.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, when we talk about the quality of players, part of the quality is reading the situation in very quick time. And once again, Kevin De Bruyne knew that he was going to get tackled. He leaves his foot in there, even though he's made contact. Gets contact going through the back and draws the foul. But I was just going to say as well, I mean, before the game, talking about Cole Palmer, this is a sort of game that he would relish, as we know, in that 4-4 draw. Came on, scored the penalty, or he scored the penalty for the equaliser. Hasn't figured much other than the shot which led to the disallowed goal for the offside with Jackson, but hasn't really figured much in this game.
Ice cold Cole Palmer. Could do with that today, actually. It's nice and warm in.
You'll be complaining next week when it starts raining, Mike.
So true. Never happy. City at home to Ipswich next Saturday, 3 o'clock kick-off. That game is live on BBC Radio Manchester as well, as Chelsea try to come forward now with Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who is also on as a substitute. Former Leicester man, played under Maresco last season at the King Power Stadium. He was voted Leicester's player of the season with 12 goals. Now time to show what he can do at Stamford Bridge, the 25-year-old. Clipped up towards his right-hand side. Gusto lets it bounce in front of him. Ball with a bit of backspin. Just played in towards Caicedo in the middle of the Manchester City half. Central position. Fofana. Fernandes. Been quiet from him the last 5-10 minutes or so. 20 minutes to go in this game. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. Here's Cucurella. Left-hand side. Players moving into the middle. Ederson is stretched for it and gets enough of his glove on it to send that away from Gusto and into the path of Doku. It was not convincing from the Brazilian, but it worked in the end. Now Dewsbury-Hall encouraged to shoot and doesn't. Fernandes. Two number 8s coming together. Fernandes and Kovacic. Cucurella flicks it out towards the far side. Dewsbury-Hall makes a run in the left channel. Deep cross past everybody, and Vardiol can send it away on this near side.
I talked about the corners, or the practice for crossing and corners in Cole Palmer missed control and puts it out for another throw-in. Talking about the warm-up and the corners, City had unopposed crossing, casual crosses in. That one was a little bit high for Ederson and didn't quite read it properly. As you say, he did get a palm on it, and in the end it went to nothing. But as I say, there's a lack of tempo at the moment in this second half. This is usually what I would expect in the first half, Mike, not in the second half. Haaland
and Fofana's turn to push one another away, and off the ball Pep Guardiola really appealing for something there. It goes out for a throw-in. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. BBC Radio Manchester Total Sport will try and bring you reaction if we can. Before we're off air at 7 o'clock, you can have your say after the game. Manchester City fans, an opening day win as it stands. 0800 218 2255 is the number you need. Bolton fans, goalless draw at home to Wrexham. We can take your thoughts on that. We'll try and hear from Ian Evatt as well before 7 o'clock. Just having confirmation on that no goal from Manchester City. VAR's checked to confirm the referee's call of no goal and a yellow card to Erling Haaland for a careless foul in the build-up. So that's why it was ruled out. Now, Bernardo Silva, City do look to go too clear. De Bruyne! Edge of the D, right foot curling shot, but wide of the right-hand post. It remains Chelsea 0, City 1.
Yeah, there was a lot of work there by Erling Haaland in the corner, just in front of us on the left-hand side. That shot from Kevin De Bruyne, it looked a little bit on the stretch perhaps, but with the quality he's got, it wouldn't have been a surprise that they hit the target. But in that last couple of minutes, a bit more encouraging for City fans, I think.
Lewis takes control midway inside the Chelsea half, pushes it on through to the right hand side. Bernardo Silva will return it back to Rico Lewis, who looks for Erling Haaland in on the right of the penalty area. Haaland would have had a tap in if he could find him. The block comes in from Wesley Fofana, and it's a Manchester City corner on the far side.
Again, a little bit more tempo from Manchester City there. Rico Lewis making the run forward. I think he made the right decision. You could argue he could have shot, but the angle was very tight with Sanchez there. The cutback was possibly the right option, but superb defending by Fofana, stretching backwards or falling over and managed to get his foot on it to put it back for the corner.
16 minutes to go then. Manchester City here have two short options from the corner. Bernardo on the byline or Foden on the touchline. Both triangulated away from Kevin De Bruyne on that far side, City's right. Corner is played to Bernardo, then comes back to De Bruyne. He tries to roll it on through. Now either Bernardo wasn't on the same wavelength or Doku didn't make the run quick enough. Ball runs over the byline and it's going to be a goal kick to Chelsea. Referee here just wants a word with both Enzo Fernandez and Erling Haaland. Both had run away from Anthony Taylor at that point as well.
Yeah, I think that's to do with the corner, because the two of them were having a little to do. It wasn't anything major, but they're having a little to do. Even if it was a short corner, they were in the middle of the box. Maybe Anthony Taylor's picking up on that point.
City have won 12 of their last 13 opening day fixtures, only losing to Spurs in 2021. 8th year in a row City have been away from home on the opening day.
That game seems a long time ago.
I can't even remember it. I was trying to think earlier when I read the statistic. I was trying to remember the game.
Yeah, I do remember that game, Mike. I think Spurs fans thought they were going to win the league after that.
Here's Kovacic. They had a remarkable start last year, Spurs. Spurs play Leicester tomorrow night to conclude the opening round of Premier League fixtures. Here's Doku on the left, just away from the corner. Didn't play that quick enough, David James?
I'm frustrated because Phil Foden was on the far side of the area, wanting the ball. All it required was Doku to smash it across. I'm saying it's like it's easy, but you'd love to see that ball just going in between the defensive line and the goalkeeper, and Phil Foden would have been a happy recipient on the end of it for sure.
Quarter of an hour to go on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport. Manchester City leading 1-0. Erling Haaland the difference. That goal came in the first half. And it's the City fans, you can hear, singing away to our left-hand side. They get half of each tier on the shed end away to our left-hand side. The small first tier only goes a handful of rows back. The second tier, a lot more looming. Rico Lewis nutmegs one player on the far side. Naughty as David James loved to see. Now Doku. Haaland's going to try and make the run. Can Doku time the pass? Well, he can. But Fofana reads it well enough, steps in before Haaland can get there. Chelsea play their way out of trouble with Cole Palmer. Now Keane and Dewsbury Hall. Left-hand touchline, far side. Infield he goes to Cucurella. All this midway inside the Chelsea half. Chelsea side that conceded 63 goals last season, their most in the Premier League ever. Gusto, they're looking to try and score one at the other end. Palmer through to Gusto, who will go on the pullback. Diaz with his hands behind his back slides in, and then does it bounce off Kovacic? Corner, says the referee. Chelsea fans screaming for a handball that doesn't come.
Yeah, Diaz sliding across. I'm not sure. I mean, you get why he's doing it, but he's sliding on the floor with his arms behind his back. The ball falling to Kovacic, and then the ricochet. Yeah, there's absolutely no way that that's going to be given as a penalty.
Well, Chelsea protest. 3 players with Anthony Taylor. It will not come as a surprise that Enzo Fernandez is one of those 3 players. I think the check's over. It will be a corner. So Cole Palmer prepares to take it. It was such a short reaction from Kovacic. There was nothing he could have done. Fernandez in short supply to Cole Palmer on this corner. Packed penalty area. Everybody back for City as the corner's drifted in. Akanji stretches the neck muscles and gets the header away as he's moving away from his own goal. Comes to the far side, Dewsbury Hall. Now with Caicedo, who always stays back from corners to provide that cover. Cucurella stands on the left corner of the penalty area. Dewsbury Hall squares it back to Caicedo again. Gusto. Fernandez to the right of centre. Back to Gusto again, who's only 5 yards or so outside the centre circle. 12 minutes to go. Manchester City lead 1-0, but here come Chelsea. Step overs on the far side. Neto has a look up, bends one in. Diaz's header is up in the air, it just leaves the penalty area. Vardiol waits for the ball to drop, Marc Cucurella. De Bruyne will challenge him. Chelsea have it back once more. Dewsbury Hall. Neto. Guiu stands almost on the penalty spot. Caicedo strokes one in. With a little bit of pace on it, but too much for Fernandez and nowhere near Guiu. It means it's a goal kick to Manchester City.
Yeah, another poor pass from Chelsea. I'm just looking at Cole Palmer here because he stood to the right hand side of the D, just on the edge of the area there, and was in acres of space. He's demonstrating or gestating to Caicedo because he should have had the ball, and he's still talking to him, still waving his arms about. Not a happy chap.
City go short with the goal kick, as you'd expect.
Gestating, I think that's the wrong word actually. Gesturing indeed. I was listening to Radio 4 earlier talking about cows, so I apologise to the listeners.
Well, Manchester City are moving in the right direction here. They lead by a goal to 0 with 11 minutes to go. Cucurella's down on the deck, so just a little stoppage in play. De Bruyne comes over for a drink on this near side. Haaland is the chant from the Manchester City fans. His goal.
Well, they're saying substitutions, Cucurella.
He's looking down at the Chelsea bench. See what Enzo Maresca decides. No Reece James today for Chelsea. He's suspended for the first 3 Premier League games of the season because he picked up a red card in the penultimate game of last season, but it was his second red card, so it means a 4-match ban. So he's still got 2 more to go after today as well. Renato Veiga is going to come on for Chelsea in replace of Marc Cucurella. Veiga, the Portuguese, £12 million signing from Basel in the summer, jogs onto the pitch and heads towards that far side. Cucurella's had an interesting game. I think he's had some tough battles out there, but for all the gloating he did against Haaland after the Euros win, Haaland got the better of him for the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he started the game very well up against Jeremy Doku, but when Silvinho went over on that side, he was exposed a bit. Phil Foden hasn't offered that kind of competition for him, so not so much involved in the second half, but this will be interesting now because you're starting to see the new players that Chelsea have brought in, see what they can do, see if they're going to be an improvement on what they had in the first half.
Doku steps in from the near side touchline. Lewis goes with him. Lewis in a central position now. Bernardo Silva, the acting right back. The City don't have to rush it into the penalty area, so Phil Foden stands with the ball far side. Cucurella getting the boos as he walks in front of the Manchester City fans. Chelsea fans quickly to their feet, try and drown out those boos. Foden far side the right for City in sky blue. They're leading by a goal to 0 with 9 minutes to go on BBC Radio Manchester. Phone lines open. You can book your call now on 0800 218 2255. Speak to Stacey Copeland and David James, the former Manchester City and England goalkeeper, at Stamford Bridge with us this afternoon on Total Sport after the game. That number again, 0800 218 2255. Diaz has it on the halfway line.
I don't see any urgency from Chelsea here to get themselves back in the game, and yes, you got to respect the fact that Manchester City are good at passing the ball, but no real I mean, there's a bit of closing down now, granted, but City look comfortable.
Guiu will apply the pressure on Ruben Diaz, who just knocks it back into his own penalty area for Ederson, who passed that out of the box but nearly invited Kiernan Dewsbury Hall to come away with it. Rico Lewis has space as Chelsea try and force the numbers forward, maybe creates a little bit of something at the back. Foden gets it from Lewis and Tries to cleverly reverse pass it into Erling Haaland. It doesn't work. Chelsea now set up down the other end, but Neto couldn't adjust his feet quick enough, and by that time the ball's run over the touchline for a Manchester City throw.
That's a bad ball in the end, I think, by Dewsbury Hall. The fact that he's gone out of play, he had acres of space just to put it down the line, keep it in play for Neto to run onto it. There was the one thing that pre-season or lack of pre-season might have, I don't think fitness is an issue, because even while Phil Foden was not necessarily while he was fishing, but once he got home after his fishing trip or expedition, I'm sure he could do some training. So the fitness side of it, it's just the getting back into the familiarity, the partnerships there with Erling Haaland. He's done a lovely little nutmegs. Erling Haaland's gone in the middle, the nutmegs was to the right hand side, and City lost possession, but that, I'm sure, will be finely tuned very soon.
Long clearance by Edison does well, and Doku can control it. He's holding off Malo Gusto here on the near side. A little bit of arm pulling and shirt pulling as well, but it's all fair according to the referees, particularly as Manchester City still have the possession with 7 minutes to go and leading 1-0. Out towards the far side it goes. It's worked via Kovacic to Phil Foden, who now stands 5 yards outside the corner of the penalty area. Back infield it goes for Manchester City's number 8, the former Chelsea man in Mateo Kovacic, was a Champions League winner with the side from Stamford Bridge. Doku. In he comes to the left-hand side. Gusto goes with him as Doku puts it lowered to the 6-yard box, but Sanchez diving away from his goal line stops it getting to Erling Haaland.
Yeah, he did well to get past Gusto there. The cross too close to Sanchez. I mean, Sanchez was in a half-decent position to start with. It's the cross I think Phil Foden wanted 10 minutes ago.
Kovacic breezing past a couple of players. Kovacic on goal! Kovacic with the goal! And the former Chelsea man seals the game for Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. Mateo Kovacic with a long-range effort, right-footed. I don't know whether the goalkeeper got a touch or it came off the post, but he scores, and Manchester City with 6 minutes to go will have an opening day win. Their title defence off in style. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2.
Wonderful finish there by Kovacic. His drive towards the edge of the box. The fact that it's the right foot, I'm just looking at the replay here, I think it's from a throw-in. Just picks the ball up, drives towards the box, cuts inside, beats 2 players. He's on the left-hand side, just outside the box, left-hand side of the D. And I think it's because it's a right foot, and I can only assume, actually we've got a better image of it from behind. Because it's a right foot, it's difficult for Sanchez in one sense, because he's opened his body up. He could go either way. It's not in the corner. He's dipping. Yeah, I would like my goalkeeper to save that, but Kovacic celebrates like he's never played for Chelsea before. You gotta love that.
Right in front of the Manchester City fans, he was pushed forward by Erling Haaland towards him. I don't think initially he did want to celebrate, but when the City fans are at that end and jumping and screaming for your name, you have to go with the flow, and it is Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2. Mateo Kovacic only scored 2 goals last season, and both of those goals came against Luton. So finally a different track record. Manchester City on track for 3 points.
I knew there was a reason why I didn't like him. I tell you what, I mean, take away the bit about the goalkeeper, the driving run, and I know I spoke to Stacey about this last season when City signed Kovacic. The thing I love about him, he gets the ball, he runs and beats people with the ball. He's done it there. The fact that he was quite central, as I say, allowed him to kind of open up the goal. It's a dipping shot. There's a bit of influence on the ball, but really, as I say, Robert Sanchez is justifying why he spent so much time not playing last season.
Well, his last game was December 2023 in the Premier League. Robert Sanchez, that also was a 2-0 defeat at Goodison Park.
Is Rodri watching this game?
Maybe. All of a sudden there are competition for places in the middle of the park as Kyle Walker completes his warm-up. Stoppage in play whilst Fofana's receiving treatment.
He scored the goal now, and it makes sense. But the one player, or actually the most influential player in this game, with his tackles and possession, I think has been Kovacic. I just loved what he's done. There's been a couple of tackles in that first half where Chelsea had breaks. He's coming from behind, perfect tackle, regained possession, and I think he's put the icing on the cake for his performance today with that goal.
Chelsea now trying to find any chink in the armour of Manchester City that can twist the game and give it a final complexion in the final 3 minutes of the normal 90 here, but City set defensively, 2 banks of 4. Here's Palmer, one time of Manchester City. Came for game time, certainly got it. Last season was really impressive, 22 goals and 11 assists, the most goal involvements of anybody in the Premier League last season, Cole Palmer. 19 of those goal involvements came at the Bridge, but he's been kept quiet this afternoon.
Yeah, he probably had the most penalties last season as well, but he is particularly good at penalties. But as I said, today, this was the game. I mean, his position has changed as the game's going on. From being outright, he's central now, but he just hasn't been able to have any influence on it. As I say, when Chelsea have got into positions, like now, there's another sack. Oh, Diaz. I mean, he's another one who's had a fantastic game. Yeah, every time that Chelsea get into positions, either through bad play themselves or fantastic defending, they just really haven't, other than that save from Jackson that Ederson made in the early on in this half. Arguably the Cole Palmer shot, which Ederson should have held, perhaps. But really, they haven't been anywhere near dangerous enough for the opportunities that they should have had.
2 minutes to go. Manchester City 2-0 up. And the Olés are out from the Manchester City fans, as they feel they're schooling Chelsea on the opening day of the season. City's remarkable record against Chelsea is now going to extend. 10 games unbeaten against the West London side. Foden calmly, 2 players around him, knocks it back to Ederson in the penalty area. I mean, it's just City now in full City mode, relaxing in De Bruyne, flicks on his header on the left hand side. Doku doesn't want to go on a bursting run, but evades one challenge. He's tripped in the aftermath by Caicedo, who was late there. Free kick.
Nice play by Jeremy Doku. It's just a quick feet there. Caicedo getting a yellow card for his efforts as well. Yeah, that was a lovely bit of footwork. Drew the stretch leg, drew the foul and the yellow card, and City comfortable now with a minute plus added time on. I think Pep will be very happy with what he's seen today.
Still issuing instructions down there. Pep Guardiola just had a good 10-second chat with Joško Vardiol, who brings the ball centrally from that free kick. Now De Bruyne back onto the near left-hand side for Doku, who's going to try and weave past Caicedo. Weave past. Oh, Gusto, he's gone past a lot. He pulls it back. And eventually a block comes in from Vega, the Chelsea substitute. But Jeremy Doku, in 2 quick flashes of his feet, took 3 Chelsea players out of the game.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's left foot, right foot. Gets in, left foot, right foot, yeah, gets into the position, and again, you understand he's going to cut the ball back. I think in future maybe you'd think, I should just smash this. I'm 6 yards away from Sanchez, don't even need to hit it cleanly, and I've got a chance of scoring a goal.
Palmer out towards the left hand side, floated ball, shot will come in from Pedro Neto unsuccessfully, and it's going to be Chelsea to recover. 5 minutes then at the end of this game, then the phone lines will open for you to have your say. Well, they're open now, you can book your call. We'll give you a ring back at full time. 0800 218 2255 as City start with an opening day win. What has been largely a tricky Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have provided a threat at times, but City have just shown that little element of quality.
Yeah, just thinking there, Mike, with Ipswich coming, and as I say, at the game yesterday with Ipswich, they do the high press. I was hoping that Chelsea's high pressure would get Man City used to what they might expect next weekend, but Chelsea's press has been terrible. I think they'll encounter something very different next weekend against Ipswich, at least for the first half. But ultimately, this has been despite my complaints about tempo in the second half, this has been a very good performance from Manchester City.
Ipswich next weekend at the Etihad Stadium. The Tractor Boys, who started with an opening day defeat to Liverpool yesterday. Manchester City have matched that scoreline as they lead 2-0 here. We've had the first of the 5 additional minutes. Here's Dewsbury Hall of Chelsea. Once in the dark blue of Leicester, now in the dark blue of Chelsea. Same manager for him though this season. He was under Enzo Maresca with the Foxes last season. Palmer trip, bang central, midway inside the Manchester City half. And it will be a free kick to Chelsea, maybe to try and make the last few moments nervy. To take it quickly though, knocking it only 5 yards to Palmer's right hand side. Here is Malo Gusto. Gusto gets the cross in, but denied quickly by Vardiol, out for a throw in on this near side.
Yeah, Vardiol, I mean, to be fair, I think most of the City players have played very well today. Palmer with a long-range shot. It just glides along the floor wide of Ederson's goal to the right-hand side, and second best effort of the day from him. That sums up his performance.
Yeah, he's been quiet today. The star of England at Euro 2024. Changed games when he came on. He started today. Chelsea, who've lost just 2 of their 19 previous home opening day fixtures. The last one against Burnley in 2017. It's going to follow that track record here against Manchester City this afternoon. Here's Doku on the turn. His footwork is sensational and fanciful, although he doesn't get past Gusto this time. The foul is committed and it's a free kick to Manchester City. A little bit of cramp there for Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, and probably noticed the clock and thought it might take a little while getting up, but again, wonderful footwork. We're not surprised. I mean, this is the thing about Jeremy Doku. We're not surprised about the brilliance that he has. It's just the odd time where he gets in a position like we had earlier on in the second half. He gets down the right-hand side, he squares the ball to no one without appreciating where the two players, Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland at the time. But the positives, the stuff that he's done well today, like setting up or being involved in the build-up for the first goal, had again very positive effect on this result for Manchester City.
Into the final 2 minutes. 0800 218 2255 is the number you need. We'll try and squeeze in reaction from Pep Guardiola before we go off air at 7 o'clock. You can, if you don't get that, or you want to hear more tomorrow morning, your sports bulletins with Mark Crossley in Breakfast with Anna. 6:30, 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning, extended sports bulletins. You'll get all the reaction to this game, plus Bolton Wrexham too. That finished 0-0 earlier. Leeds win over Salford in Super League's Magic Weekend to boost Leeds' hopes of a playoff spot, finding some real form in the second half of this season. And also Oldham Ruffians, who are promoted to the Championship from Rugby League's League One this afternoon after a 20-12 win over Keighley Cougars. Guarantees them top spot in the division. Into the final minute of added time we go then. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2. Chelsea inside the centre circle. Here's Palmer. One final flurry for Chelsea. Gusto, powerful cross, no real direction on it, and Foden volleys it away on the edge of the penalty area as it came swinging in from this right hand side. Here's Vega. Fernandez takes the shot on, and Ederson with a little skip on the goal line flicks the ball at once and catches it at the second attempt.
Yeah, a comfortable save in the end for Ederson. Fernandez just it's a bit spinny, but that's about it. And if with 15 seconds left, City get a clean sheet, they'll be very happy with that, considering they didn't have as many clean sheets as normal last season.
Yeah. Didn't win the Golden Glove. Jordan Pickford of Everton won the Golden Glove over Ederson. Diaz in the centre circle. The last touch of the game. The full-time whistle goes. And Manchester City, the defending champions, they've done 4 in a row. They want 5 in a row now this season. And they've started in style at Stamford Bridge. Goals from Erling Haaland and the former Chelsea man in Mateo Kovacic have helped them to a 2-0 opening day win at Chelsea. And the champions continue their remarkable Premier League run. They're still unbeaten since December 2023. Chelsea's new look squad, they may have signed plenty of players in the summer. It was familiar faces that started today's game, but they didn't really give Manchester City too much to think about. Couple of tests for Ederson, but City always looked in control, and the full-time score is Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2.
Which is an impressive scoreline no matter what, David James, but given who they had out injured and on the bench, that is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting again when you commentate and you're seeing bits and it feels like that's the whole game, where, as I say, there's parts in that second half where City were very slow in the build-up. They were 1-0 up. They were almost like protecting that 1-0 lead in a sense, and maybe gave Chelsea a thought that they could get back into the game, but ultimately it's a wonderful win, wonderful performance, and as I said, Kovacic was my player of the match, but Guardiola was great. I thought Diaz, especially in that first half, with some very, very important challenges. Doku at times was unplayable. Savinho in that first half was superb as well. So, as I say, the clean sheet on top of that, I think Pep Guardiola and that Man City side will be very, very happy with that today.
It was a good performance, wasn't it, from Savinho? We do hope he's okay, because of course he did seem to have that bit of an injury just before half-time and was subsequently taken off in place of Phil Foden. So we hope that he's okay, but impressive first 45 for him in the blue of City.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, again, that might have influenced the way that City played in the second half, because Phil Foden, well, first of all, Pep doesn't make substitutions usually, does he? Especially at half-time. But I think with Savinho and Doku, they had the threat always of going direct at the players, whereas Phil Foden doesn't offer, because of the speed, whatever, it doesn't offer that kind of threat. And I think it just took possibly a bit of time for them to get back in. Hopefully, as I say, I don't think it's anything major. This is a fantastic signing from City, and I'm excited to see what he is going to bring to the side as the season goes on.
And Mike mentioned during commentary how strict Guardiola has been in terms of making sure that his players get the rest time that's needed. And people might have questioned that, leaving players like Walker and Stones and Grealish on the bench, but you think that down the line that could be a real difference maker, having given those players a rest in the summer.
Yeah, what I think it's interesting when you say that now, Stacey, because one thing I haven't thought about is the whole pre-season effectively was built around the squad without them. So what we're seeing on the pitch today, Silvinho apart, is essentially a side that had gone through a lot of the pre-season together. Pep could have influenced. I mean, I was talking about the 4-1-4-1 defensive formation. It looked so rigid, like a way that I'd not seen it before. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne quite often not tracking back and getting into position, but he was in position very early. So where I think in the past people have quite casually said, City have got such a great bench, they could have two starting 11s. I've argued that they haven't had that kind of, they might have individual brilliance, but you just can't throw out 11 players and expect to win games of football. What I've seen today is a demonstration that this squad now has depth and capability. Yes, Chelsea were poor with their passing. However, you still had some very talented players in this Chelsea side who are going to cause problems this season. But City, through great tackling or great performances up front, have managed to win the game without, as you say, normal starting 11 players.
Absolutely. Well, we're with you till 7, so for the next 30 minutes you've got a chance to get in touch with us. 0800 218 2255. City fans, what do you make of that? Are you happy with that performance? Does that say a great deal about the depth in your squad? 81333 to text us. Start your message with the word Mank, or you can tweet us at BBC RM Sport. Mike, before you nip off to get us a word from Pep and et al., we said business as usual at half-time.
Yeah.
Got to be pretty pleased with that. On the screen in front of me, Pep is having a really nice conversation with Cole Palmer, actually, which is good to see. He was been a key player for Chelsea last season. Pretty quiet today. I mean, City all over the pitch was superior, weren't they?
Yeah, I think Chelsea came to try and disrupt Manchester City today. I think both sets of teams have the skills, the flicks, the tricks, the nice attractive part of the game, if you will. But I think whereas Chelsea seem more of a team of individuals, I think they tried to the fancy flicks through, the clever runs through the middle didn't work for them, whereas they were coming off more and more for Manchester City in the first half. Rico Lewis and Savinho and Doku all getting to the byline at various times to pull back. Okay, the final product in the final third wasn't there necessarily all the time for Manchester City today, and there'll be definitely some missed opportunities for that. But in the whole aspect of the performance, City were professional, they were tidy, they had the control over Chelsea, so I think they can be really happy with how they've started this season. And when you had when you looked that Phil Foden didn't start, obviously no Rodri in the squad, Kyle Walker remained on the bench, players that were so influential for Manchester City last year didn't play, and still they've come out with a win. I think Pep Guardiola can be really happy with what the opening days brought Manchester City.
And what about, obviously, on the opposite side of things, David, Enzo Maresca? We talked about him having previously been Guardiola's assistant, and he said it's not going to make any difference on the day. Guardiola does, he changes things game by game, is unpredictable and so on and so forth. But in terms of the performance his side put together, they did create plenty of chances. It wasn't, a walkover by any means for City. How happy or not do you think he'll be after that performance?
I'm not I'm not fully sure I agree with you there about creating chances. I think they got into positions, in a lot of positions. I go back to the point in the second half where I think Jackson, I can't remember who he was, got in each other's way on the edge of the 6-yard box, and nothing happened from it. So I think they got into really, really good positions and just didn't have the final product. Edison's made a couple of saves, one late on from Enzo Fernandez from distance, the save from Cole Palmer, which is a comfortable save. Edison hasn't really been tested today, so I don't think they created the kind of chances which you'd expect. I think the biggest frustration will be the simple stuff which they got wrong. A throw-in to your own player, an easy laid back which goes off for a throw into Manchester City in your own half. That kind of thing should not happen. Once, if you're going to be pedantic about it, you can accept, but it happened frequently. Even Cole Palmer, just in front of us on the right hand side here, simple pass out for a throw-in. The game just gets broken up, and when you're chasing the game as well and you can't do the simple stuff right, the expectation to be able to do the more difficult stuff, like Mike said, there was some odd flicks and stuff there here and there, but really the basic stuff had gone wrong, and that is not I would argue not down to the manager. That's down to the players just to do the simple stuff properly.
So in terms of the, obviously there was the Jackson finish, which was deemed offside, and then a couple of those, certainly in the first half, we'd mentioned that they did create, but there were very weak finishes on the end of it, with the exception of Cole Palmer's effort that he really put his foot through. So would you say Chelsea not registering a goal today was more down to their lack of finishing ability or creativity, whichever you want to call it, or City being, doing a great job defensively?
First of all, I think the quality of finishing was not good enough, or in the situation where the finish was available, it wasn't good enough. Again, quickly going back to that Jackson mix-up in the second half here in front of the goal. But then you add on the defending bits as well. I mean, Diaz with a couple of really, really important blocks or challenges inside the box. I know they're claiming for a penalty on one of them against Enzo Fernandez, but in the end, there was some quality in the defending as well. So it's not that Chelsea were poor completely, but I go back to the point, the simple stuff, when you're getting that wrong, then it puts so much pressure on the more difficult stuff. City were, I think, generally fantastic with their passing, as you would expect, to the point that they said it looks a little bit laboursome or lacking some kind of pace in that second half, but at the same time they were kind of controlling the game, and my concern was it's only 1-0, and logically Chelsea only need one decent chance they put in, and then all of a sudden you're in a very, very different space. But ultimately City had control of the game, and maybe even they had the sense that this Chelsea side possibly just weren't going to be good enough today to take advantage of anything.
It's interesting talking about finishing with regards to this tweet from Jacob, who says they got the job done. If Haaland got the chances Jackson had, he'd have bagged a hat-trick.
But well, I think with Mike's stat of 100 goals, whatever, then yes,
91 in 100 appearances, unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, his record would suggest that he would do, but early only needed one chance today and he scored. So I mean, the thing is, Jackson, again, from what I've seen since he's been at Chelsea, does get himself in positions. I think the majority of his goals, if I remember rightly, have come within 12 yards of the goal. He's not going to do much more else than get on the end of crosses, and usually that's on a counter-attack, if my memory serves me right. But this Chelsea side, again, and the frustration, I think, if I was a Chelsea supporter, would be that there is so much quality, and we've heard this almost season on season now, and it's getting that quality to gel and to perform and get the results. I mean, finishing 6th is not where this Chelsea side, given, I think I saw a stat, was it 1.5 billion they've spent or something in recent years? I mean, you would expect a lot more than what we've seen, especially today.
Absolutely. Well, we've got City fan Huang just joining us in just a second. Before that, though, I just want to put this one to you. Another criticism, if that's the right word, of Doku, because Dennis has said someone needs to study Jeremy Doku final balls. Disappointing. He seems to have taken quite a bit of stick, Doku, today, when he was actually involved in quite a lot of what City did that was positive, I thought, at times.
Yeah. I think you can be very polarised just in this performance. I mean, like I said at half-time about Silvinho, you got a player here who gets into positions, and historically, you would argue they do what they're doing at the moment, and without jumping timeframes. But Savinho's new here. Doku, before he came to Manchester City, you would expect him to get in these positions. You would expect him to do essentially what he's done today. My point is, if you're going to come into a side, you should be improving, irrespective of what you were or who you are when you're bought. Jeremy Doku today, he got in a great position a couple of times in the second half in particular. He squared the ball to no one effectively, and you got Erling Haaland in the middle and Kevin De Bruyne just behind him on the right hand side, and you're thinking you haven't seen the players around you. So that suggests to me that he's asked to do something without respecting or reading the situation live. If he does, he makes a different pass. Now that's the thing that you've got to do in training, and I think Pep or the coaching staff will address that situation. I'm hoping this season, similar with Savinho, you address the situation that our player gets in this position's good, what does he need to improve on, and if he is to improve on it, how much is that going to be a positive towards Manchester City's success this season?
City fans, have your say. 0800 218 2255. You can chat to David between now and 7 o'clock. Huang joins us now. Good evening. Lovely to have you with us. What did you make of City's performance today? And were you confident going into this game?
Good evening, Stacey. Good evening, David. Thank you so much for having me on. I was fairly confident going into this game. I think, with this Chelsea... with the Chelsea game, of course, I do acknowledge what happened last season with the draws as well. But as I said, new season, with a new mindset going into this game, and I was pretty confident. Of course, new manager in charge at Chelsea, but I think the Chelsea players still trying to find their feet. And as I could see, and I just felt, I was pretty much comfortable throughout the game, in my opinion. Anyway, throughout the entire 90 minutes, it was just about getting the goals right, and that was pretty much. I thought Rico Lewis was exceptional today. I think maybe the only disadvantage that he has in his game is probably his height, but I don't think that matters if he has his footballing IQ on point. So I think that makes up for his lack of height. And I thought Kovacic did very, very well for Rodri in getting his goal as well. The way he just burst through and just basically just put the game beyond Chelsea. And of course, Haaland does what Haaland goes, gets off the mark. And I think, I know it's too early to say, but I just got a feeling like he's definitely going to get more than 37 goals last season.
No pressure already then, Erling. You're underway. Kovacic, really good finish, although, David, obviously you look at it from a goalkeeping perspective. But a quick word on Rico Lewis too. I mean, that challenge he made in the box was exceptional at the back post.
Yeah. I mean, his reading of the game today was superb. His positioning was superb. As I say, this looked like a side, and it just sounds ironic in ways. It looked like a side that was well drilled, and I know everyone talks about Pep drilling all his players into essentially playing in pretty much every different position. But I think the absence of so many players, the international players, allows the players like Rico Lewis to get more focus on them. I thought he was excellent. Just going back to what Ron was saying there, I also think, and again, I wasn't concerned today that, and as I mentioned before the show, once I saw the starting lineup, I thought City would win this game. The goal after 18 minutes by Erling Haaland helped a lot. As I say, there was points in that second half where it was almost like the usual performances had been reversed. The second half performance was more like a first half performance I've seen City play on numerous occasions. But Rico Lewis was superb. I mean, even Doku, as I said, polarised in the sense that he did so many fantastic things, but then there was the odd bit where he could have done something else which could have produced a better result. But I'm sure, even though some of the players now are doing their warm downs on the pitch, they are in that changing room. They'll be buzzing, and I think especially for the likes of Ederson, they'll be buzzing with the fact that they've got a clean sheet on the first game of the season, because you don't like playing against teams who don't concede goals, obviously.
Huang, it's difficult, isn't it? Because when we talk about this sort of golden week leading up to the start of the season, whatever team you support at any level across the country, there's that optimism, isn't there? That no matter what's gone before, you just convince yourself, we've got a great chance here of doing A, B and C. For City fans, that's actually manifested, hasn't it, for the last few seasons, having gone through years where that hasn't been the case and it's been pure optimism. Now you've got the evidence to show for it. You've got reason to believe. I know it's early for this question, but what would constitute a successful season from your point of view as a fan this season? What are you looking for them to achieve?
Thank you so much for asking me that, Steve. I think for me, I think as long as we go deep into every tournament that we participate in, that would be a very, very good season for us personally. And I think for me, I would definitely, City would. I'm pretty sure they're very motivated and filled with desire and determination to go retain the Premier League for a 5th successive season. And I think I would like to think the boys would want to make up for the disappointment for the Champions League last season after going out to Real Madrid on penalties, and that was disappointing as well. And I think that disappointment from last season's Champions League elimination would only fuel them for going into this season with more, I think, desire, not only determination, but I think the scars of going out on penalties last season, just like the scars of when they got eliminated by when we got eliminated by Real Madrid 2 years ago, by last minute goals in the end of the game and into extra time as well.
It's easy to forget, isn't it, David, when we're focused so much, and rightly so, on City's success in recent years, that there have been, as recently as last season, those wounds, if you like, that can feel, because it does hurt, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just thinking there when I was listening to Ron speak. It's interesting because you win the treble, then the expectation is that anything less than the treble is going to be a failure. But you're doing something which is so unique, or so rare, in fact, that you can't expect to be doing that week in, week out. I think with regards to success, and we mentioned this last weekend, be the best team in your country to start with. A one-off like Real Madrid, you don't actually get beat in footballing terms, in 11v11 terms against Real Madrid. You get beat in a penalty shootout. I'm not going to say penalty shootout is a lottery. I think there is a level of control that you still have over your taking of penalties, but ultimately the opposition have that control as well, or the opportunity for that control. So be the best team in your country, win the league, continue to do it, make it 5 in a row, and then you are telling everyone that no one here is better than us, and then just hope that you can put in the performances in Europe and become Champions League winners as well. But this is a team that today I felt I saw something different, and as I say, it was the sort of discipline that they had in defence against this Chelsea side. Yes, Chelsea did create chances, but teams will create chances throughout the season. But what they were disciplined, they looked confident in what they were doing, and in the end, as I say, there'll be a changing room here at Stamford Bridge, which will be very, very happy with the opening game of the season.
Very quickly before you go, Hwang, your thoughts on Doku, because we've had quite a bit of criticism from him by way of tweets and texts anyway, but obviously had some real impact in the game. What were your thoughts on his performance today and what he's brought to City, and whether you think he's improved in his time here so far?
I think now that his first season's out of the way, I think he'll definitely get better and better on. I thought he was very good today. I know he had some odd moments where it kind of frustrated the fans, but I felt he was definitely part of the build-up in the first goal for Haaland. When I know it ended up as a Bernardo Silva assist, but Doku was involved in that build-up. And I think if he carries on going, and I thought as long as he listens to Pep and the coaching staff, not only just Doku has an understanding of his teammates, but I think also the players need to have an understanding of him as well. And I think the chemistry is not in sync right now, but I think in overall the course of the season, I think it will definitely improve over time. I just think I think the City fans, obviously myself included, I think I'm going to be behind him. I think just give the guy time, and I think gradually he's going to get better and better. It's just the first game, and just remember the season only just started, and there's a long way to go until the end. And I think I reserve my judgment personally on Doku's performances of this season by the end of May, rather than just basing it on just one game.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking to you again throughout the season, Hwang. Thank you so much for joining us on Total Sport. Let's say hello to Lewis now. Evening, Lewis.
Evening, guys. You okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So the floor is yours. Give us your opinions on today's performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just did what we needed to do, really. As David said, it was a very sort of, mature performance, well constructed. To be honest, I expected more from Chelsea, just given they've got double the size of the squad of what we have. But I thought we did all right. We looked tired in parts, but I think that's expected. But overall, I'm quite happy with the win and the performance.
overall quite happy then, David. Do you think they look tired in parts?
Yeah, that's a good point, Lewis. I mean, I made reference to Kovacic. I mean, it's one of these ironies. I mean, fitness is not what you can do; it's how you recover. Chelsea had a corner, and Kovacic was on his knee. Well, on his knees. He had his hands on his knees, and he looked like he was blowing. But then he had enough energy to run down and score the winning goal or the second goal. So, yeah, he recovered well. Yeah, I think depending on what happens in any sort of few minutes of a game, you can make a player look tired. But as I say, I think there was control. Just to quickly jump back to the Doku thing, I think with Savinho, it allowed Doku, as we saw with Cucurella in that first half, where he wasn't getting the better of a player, you change the personnel or change the position of personnel, and then the next player gets the better of him. I think that's where City are going to have many benefits today. Today was controlled. This was a great victory, I think. In the end, this was a great victory. It wasn't what I was expecting, especially after the Community Shield last weekend. I thought it would be a much tougher game, even if I thought City would win it. But the discipline throughout that game, I thought, was superb. And again, these are the little things which give teams confidence going into games that we can do this. And as I said, with Ipswich coming up, yes, they're a promoted side, but it's an unknown quantity for a lot of these players because they won't have played against that opposition. So they'll be very happy. And I think, like Lewis, job done. Didn't matter too much how it looked like. 2-0, clean sheet, happy days.
Yeah, Ipswich next Saturday at home, 3 o'clock kickoff, that one, Lewis. I mean, did you expect it to be more difficult than it was today, or did it play out fairly as you thought it may?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I did think we'd win. I just obviously think the quality of players we've got in comparison to Chelsea are a level above. But obviously we've had a lot of players that are still away, and those only just come back, haven't really trained too much. So yeah, I did expect Chelsea to do a bit more, and they had spells where they could have caused some damage, but we just stuck in there, and like I said, we did enough to get the 3 points, and again, really happy with the win.
Well, happy end to the weekend for you, Lewis, and let's hope you're feeling the same next Saturday around about 5 o'clock. Thank you for joining us on Total Sport. Good evening, Alan.
Good evening.
Lovely to have you with us on Total Sport. Let's get your thoughts, please.
Well, I'm happy today with the performance. I'd like David James's opinion on the goalkeeping position, because I would pick Ortega every week, but what does David think?
Wait, what in terms of the goalkeeping position?
Well, I just think Ortega. If I were picking a team to save my life, Ortega would be in it, not Edison.
Right, so you mean in terms of the selection of okay, David?
Yeah, well, in terms of saving shots, and that one today got away with. I'm 70 next. I'd have saved that without spilling it.
So your preference would be Ortega then, Alan, and you're asking him what David's thoughts are on that then, the selection between Ortega and Edison. David, go on then. What do you think?
I think it's interesting. As you know, I'm a big Edison fan, but if I'm going to be analytical rather than just a fan, I think this season, you look at pre-season, you look at even with the Community Shield, I think the talk of Edison going has had an influence, or in fact the talk that Pep had said that he could go and it was up to him. I mean, I was doing City TV in one of the pre-season games, and Pep's quote was, it's essentially up to him, words to that effect. And I thought it was interesting how Pep had framed this, because if it was Bernardo Silva's never leaving type thing, and it was almost like there was an issue going on here. And the save, yes, it's going to happen during the season where shots go in, you think you should hold it, and he didn't. Fortunately, Jackson was offside. But I find that when Ortega's playing, he has to make more saves. And I think that Edison, he proved it today with a couple of long balls. People are scared that he's just going to put a ball right over the top of everyone, so the teams end up being a little bit more stretched. Ortega doesn't offer that. Having said that, Alan, I don't know if you watched the game against Luton Town last season in the FA Cup. The way that Ortega was playing balls into the halfway line, Erling Haaland, was something wondrous, and it just looked so simple but so effective. Edison doesn't seem to do that, so there's pros and cons, but if I go back to my my fanship, then I would like to see Ederson in goal ahead of Ortega.
You had to get Luton in, didn't you, Alan?
I had to. Yeah, they need all the help they can.
Oh, yeah. Right, well, they give Bernardo man of the match on television. I thought it was Kovacic, mate. I thought he was fabulous today.
Bernardo? I thought he played well, but I thought Kovacic was excellent today. Absolutely.
He was, and young Lewis was as well.
Let me just put this to you, Alan, because Kovacic was speaking to Sky Sports after the game, and he said, they asked him about, obviously Rodri, and he's injured at the minute, and he said, I played today the same kind of role, but we are always missing Rodri because he is, if not the best player, one of the best in the world. I don't score many goals, and when you score you want to celebrate, but I have a huge respect for Chelsea. I spent 5 years here. This team is so hungry, and it's a pleasure to be part of it and win titles. So clearly a very motivated play, but with greatly respectful of Rodri and Chelsea prior, and that says a lot about his character, Alan. But yeah, great game today. And a goal.
Well, Rodri, as we know, is world class, but I wouldn't say he was injured. He's just not come back in time, has he? But he's not injured, I don't think. But it's funny, when I was about 24, I used to play Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, and these lads, they've been back, they've had a month off now. I can't understand it.
Brilliant. Well, Alan, if it doesn't work out, now they've heard that you felt like you could save a couple, you may just get a call, and if you do, we'll be interviewing you pre-game, so hopefully that'll happen this season. Yeah. But either way, we're happy to have you with us on Total Sport. Thank you, Alan. Let's say hello to Paul now. Good evening, Paul.
Hello there. Hi there.
Your thoughts?
I thought it was a fantastic performance. I thought we controlled the game really most of the way through. There was just a period in the second half where it was sort of drifting at 1-0, and you're a bit worried that Chelsea could get one back and then it might be the Alamo. But no, I thought it was a really, really good performance. I agree with what you said before, but Kovacic's performance today was really excellent. I mean, Chelsea fans must look at that and think, we let him go last summer and we spent £250 million on two central midfield players who couldn't hold a light to him today. He was excellent. Rico as well, really fantastic performance. I mean, he had quite a job. He had Nkunku, I think, in the first half, and then Eto'o came on in the second half, and he managed it. He managed it really well. He saved us a goal at one end with that ball to the back post that he cut out, and then he should have had a goal which got chalked off. But no, I think it was great. I think the only sort of worry was Savinho going off at half time. I hope he's all right. Maybe it was just a precaution to take him off, because obviously we've got the Oscar Bob injury and we don't want any more wide players injured. But no, it was fantastic in every way today.
And it really was. When you consider that, Paul and David, of course, that and Rodri, it is an injury. It's a hamstring injury that he sustained, so he's just sort of being eased back in. Oscar Bob, obviously a really serious injury. He's going to be out for longer. Then they rested some of the England players, if rested is the right word, or they're giving them chance to fully recover. So given all of that, Paul, that depth, that's immense. And David, that speaks volumes about this campaign for City, doesn't it?
Yeah, as I say, I think the fact that I say blessing in disguise is probably the wrong term, but the fact that the international players, I think Rodri included before any hamstring issues, would have been the opportunity for a lot of the players to get involved in a way that they wouldn't have done previously in previous build-ups to the season. As I say, this looked very well drilled, and the longer this goes on, I think competition for places will be the issue now. The longer this goes on, where the players who aren't normally starting games are playing well, then the better that stands for Manchester City, because you can put these players in without concern. And like I say, I'd never really subscribed to that idea that you can put any 11 out and Man City will beat who they're playing against, because it's the continuity, the consistency in performance. Well, we've seen consistency in performance today, we've seen discipline in performance today, and like Rico Lewis, you said, with his defending and his shots as well, we've seen top level ability as well. So I think the confidence, as I say, in the change room, first of all because you've got 3 points, you've got a clean sheet and a win at Stamford Bridge, but secondly that you look around the change room and say, I trust everyone in this change room who goes on that pitch to be able to perform and get the results.
Paul, given that you're our last caller today, a score prediction for next Saturday, please, against Ipswich.
That's a bit early. Wow.
A score prediction?
Go on.
I don't know. 3-0.
Love it. Yes, Paul. Right, listen, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And thank you. I thought I might as well put him on the spot, David, since he's with us. The final tweet is from Fed, who says, quite bumpy match this one, but 3 points at home and a lot of positive to take with us. Savinho, destined for greatness. Rico is the real deal. I think we'd probably agree with most of that. David, we've had a really good start on the blue side anyway for the start to the season today. It's been such a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you very much. Brought us a bit of luck today, I have to say, and enjoy navigating your way out of the tube. On your way out.
I've got my Oyster card, don't worry.
Thank you very much, David James there. Of course, what a pleasure to have him with us, and Mike Minay alongside him as your commentary team today. What a day we've had. We had magic weekend action. Lee Leopards beating Salford 26-0. We had Bolton Wanderers with a 0-0 draw against Wrexham. Big news for Oldham today, of course. They beat Keighley 20 points to 12, meaning they are champions of League One. So there'll be plenty tomorrow morning on Breakfast with Anna Jameson. Mark Crossley will be bringing you all the latest. We'll have all the reaction to come. We'll also hear from Pep Guardiola. What a day we've had, and a win, of course, to finish with from Manchester City. Business as usual.
Total Sport.
Action replay.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Oh, here's Haaland on the penalty spot. Lovely footwork. Erling Haaland past Sanchez, and Manchester City have their first goal of the season. The defending champions take the lead at Chelsea with some fine footwork from the feet of Erling Haaland. Kovacic breezing past a couple of players. Kovacic on goal. Kovacic with the goal. And the former Chelsea man seals the game for Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. Mateo Kovacic with a long-range effort, right-footed. I don't know whether the goalkeeper got a touch or it came off the post, but he scores, and Manchester City with 6 minutes to go will have an opening day win. Their title defence off in style. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2.
Action replay.
Total Sport.
BBC Radio Manchester.